Something comfortable for my first day of work.
Work, huh? Let me guess. Computer programmer? Computer magazine columns. Something with computers.
Well, I use a computer.
Yeah, what's the connection? Must be the non-stop sitting and snacking. Well, sir.
Now let's talk about India's IT industry. It is growing rapidly, but so is its hidden health crisis. A new study is out. It says that 84% IT employees in India suffer from fatty liver disease. This is a condition where too much fat builds up in the liver and damages the organ. But this is not about one disease, really, or one industry, or one country for that matter. The world over, lifestyle-related diseases are fueling a silent epidemic. What are they, and why are they on the rise? Here's a report.
Your liver is the largest internal organ in your body. It's a football-sized organ, and it has a crucial job. It cleans your blood, stores energy, and helps with digestion. But sometimes it gets damaged. Excess fat accumulates in the organ. When it reaches dangerous levels, this is called fatty liver disease. But if you think it's only linked to alcohol use, you're wrong. Fatty liver disease has become a silent epidemic. About 30% of people suffer from it the world over. In India, the number is higher, 33%, meaning every third Indian has the disease. Zoom in further and the number increases. Urban Indians have higher rates of the disease. Zoom in again and you'll see that the number is higher in India's IT industry, where 84% employees suffer from fatty liver disease. This is mostly thanks to lifestyle problems, the lack of exercise, long hours of sitting at the desk, inadequate sleep, poor eating habits, stress, and so on. But this is not about just one disease. For instance, 71% of Indian IT workers are obese as well. And this is not just about India. Lifestyle-related diseases are the leading cause of death the world over. Because they include heart diseases, respiratory problems, diabetes, kidney diseases, and even cancer, which is witnessing a recent disturbing trend. Cancer cases are rising sharply among younger people. Early onset cancers, which are diagnosed in people under 50, have increased by 79% over the past 3 decades the world over. Experts say that there's an epidemic of illnesses among the working age population. It's taking lives, pushing people out of the workforce, fueling the sick note culture, and punishing economies through lost productivity. While this is a complex problem, there are solutions. Most lifestyle-related diseases can be reversed, especially in the young. But major changes need to be made at an individual level by eating better, cutting down on smoking and drinking, and exercising more. And even during the time crunch at work, workers chained to their desks must try to switch it up. Studies say that people who predominantly sit at work have a 16% higher risk of mortality from all causes. That said, this is a policy issue as well. There's a range of steps that governments can take, including increased taxes on tobacco, alcohol and sugar, campaigns to reduce salt and dangerous fats in foods, tactics to promote exercise, and of course, better health care. There is a long road to recovery. But the burden of lifestyle-related diseases is not a matter to be taken lightly.
One of the worst things that a black person can do is start lying to yourself about race. You've got to deal with the white supremacists. That's painful, because it is painful dealing with them. I will admit to that, and that is true. And I can understand it. Yeah. Try to find a way around it, because it's painful when you have to deal with them. Deal with anybody, but don't deal with them. Because, see, I mean, hey, the record shows we lose. And we don't know how. We don't know how. We haven't figured out a way out. And that's why we're always looking for an escape route. Well, I mean, it's the Chinese. That's why we're in this shape. Well, it's the Puerto Ricans. If it wasn't for them damn Puerto Ricans, black people would be on Easy Street. Well, that Mexican took my job. He ain't took your job. He was given the job. Given the job by who? The people who give out jobs. Well, who are they? Duh. Have you ever had a job? Who gave it to you? Right, come on.
Altadena and Palisades and the areas around them are a mess. They are covered with ash. They can have lead and toxic chemicals in it. And among the many people struggling to clean it all up are immigrant day laborers, a workforce that could be vulnerable to exploitation. That's why there's one organization training them to approach this work safely. Here's KCRW's Megan Jamerson.
Instructor Jesse Carrillo helps a guy pull on a full-body plastic jumpsuit, then a respirator mask. Carrillo is teaching a class of 20 day laborers how to use gear like this before going into a home to clean ash and soot.
We want to make sure that when we walk into a customer's house and that we're safe. There's a lot of hazards.
In February, the LA County Department of Public Health issued a warning that you could be exposed to dangerous ash within 500 feet of a burned structure. Unless you have each site or home tested, you don't know the exact risk of being there. As workers wipe down ash from surfaces, the particles can get into the air.
There's a possibility you can inhale them. They go into your lungs and they're very tiny.
During a break from the instruction, Maria Zamorano tells me she didn't want to take any fire cleanup jobs until after she did this training. Zamorano has a small housekeeping business.
No es lo mismo que se quemó una casa a que se quemó todo.
She says it's much more dangerous to have all these houses burned down than just one.
No puedo arriesgar la salud de mis compas.
She says, I can't put the life of my friends, my workers, in danger. That's why the Pasadena Community Job Center has been offering day laborers free OSHA training and partnering with another local nonprofit to offer home cleanup training.
In Spanish, there is a saying that goes, es mejor prevenir que lamentar.
Better safe than sorry, says Pablo Alvarado. He's the co-executive director of the National Day Laborer Organizing Network, which operates the Pasadena Job Center. Alvarado raises the health impacts from the 9/11 cleanup as a worst-case scenario. He knew day laborers who participated in it and who later died from illnesses related to that work. He doesn't want that to happen in L.A.
I cannot conceive the idea of seeing people that I know telling me in 5 or 10 years I have cancer because I went in without the proper PPE.
Labor law requires most employers, including homeowners, to let workers know about risks and provide safety gear. And many employers do follow the rules, says Alvarado. But then there are those that don't, points out Kevin Riley. He is the director of UCLA's Labor and Occupational Safety and Health Program.
Undocumented individuals are protected by labor laws just as much as anybody else, but for a lot of reasons it can also be really hard for those workers to exercise their rights or to speak up if they're being, if those rights are being violated in some way.
Riley says we know how to keep workers safe, but when there are thousands of residents and property owners who are understandably anxious to get things cleaned up and rebuilt, that can put pressure on government agencies. And when decision makers on the ground move quickly, there's the potential for safety to go by the wayside, says Riley.
It becomes much less of a controlled situation of cleanup and more just, all hands on deck, rush people in to get the work done.
Plus, a lot of people really need the cleanup work, so they might just accept whatever the conditions are without complaining, points out Alvarado with the Day Laborer Network.
A lot of immigrant families lost their homes, others lost their jobs. They are living with friends in garages. They are in shelters.
And many are looking over their shoulders for ICE.
And at the same time, there is the fear that the immigration agents might come knocking down on the door.
But LA is completely dependent on its immigrant labor force.
There's one fact that it's undeniable, that without immigrants, both documented and undocumented, Los Angeles cannot be rebuilt.
So for now, the Pasadena Job Center is tracking how workers are treated on the job, offering ongoing training, and handing out PPE for those who need it. For KCRW, I'm Megan Jamerson.
Now you can finger pop, you can even swing, but you going to jail for doing your thing. Here come the judge, here come the judge, here come the judge.
People who work for the federal court system don't have the same kinds of job protections that most other Americans do. A nearly year-long NPR investigation has found problems with the way the courts police sexual harassment and bullying, and a pervasive culture of fear about blowing the whistle. A warning, this piece contains a description of sexual assault. NPR Justice correspondent Carrie Johnson reports.
In 2020, as the coronavirus pandemic began to shut things down, a recent law school graduate started a new job all the way across the country in Alaska. She accepted a coveted post as a law clerk for a federal judge.
It's kind of like a unicorn. It's a position that follows you for the rest of your life. It's on the top of your resume. It's, people pay attention to it, especially a federal court clerkship.
The clerk hoped this job would jumpstart her career. She didn't know anyone else there, only the judge.
The judge was the HR department. The judge was my boss. The judge was a colleague. The judge was everything. He had all the power.
He started testing her boundaries early on.
It started immediately. The inappropriate conversations. There was a lot of talk, about the judge's personal relationships, about sexual relationships.
She says she thought it was part of her job to listen to the judge and help him with anything. He was going through a divorce, and he began to text her constantly, to the point where her phone felt like an electric leash.
I never had respite from being just a few text messages away from him. It was constant. It was during work. It was after work. It was all the time.
That pressure built. In the summer of 2022, things got worse.
That's when he told me he'd been communicating with this prosecutor that was appearing before him, and she had been sending nude photos, and that was the breaking point for me, where I decided I needed to leave.
She stayed in Alaska, but she got a new job as a federal prosecutor, and this, she hoped, would put an end to the ordeal. As it turned out, that was wrong. The voice you've been hearing is not her real voice, although they are her words verbatim. We're using a voice actor because she was too afraid to talk. You'll understand why in a moment. About a week after she left the judge's chamber, she ran into him at a party. I'm going to tell the next part of the story entirely from allegations in the court papers. That's in part because retelling it to me was too painful. At the party, he tried to get her to sit next to him on the couch. Eventually she left, but she got a text from him saying he needed to talk to her. It was cold that night, so the judge suggested they chat inside his apartment. Once inside, the judge insisted she come to the bedroom. At first, she sat on the corner of the bed, but he wanted her to lay down. Then, she told investigators, he grabbed her breast. She tried to pull his arm off, but he was really strong. I just remember thinking, like, there's nothing I can do about this, she told the investigators. This is about to happen. Like, I always felt like this thing he could not touch, and finally he felt like he could touch. A judge's control over the future of a young lawyer is real and lasting. With only a phone call, a judge can open doors to a lucrative job at a law firm or shut them permanently. And there's no one really policing what happens inside a judge's chambers beside the judge themselves. Judicial independence and protecting the balance of power give judges a tremendous amount of sway over workplace rules. For nearly a year, I interviewed 42 people, current and former workers within the federal court system, about their experience. They're men and women who work for more than 24 judges, appointed by presidents from both major political parties. I heard from people whose self-confidence was shattered by judges who screamed so loudly, others could hear from the hallways. People who were fired after a week or two on the job for no clear reason. Some described sexual harassment, like in the case of the Alaska clerk. Many more shared episodes of bullying, and others said they faced discrimination because they had a disability or were pregnant. And things can get pretty tough for clerks who speak out. When the Alaska clerk reported the assault, she told a colleague who had been assigned to mentor her, but that mentor said she also had been coerced.
When I reported to my mentor, she was also the person that had been sending him nude photos, and immediately told him that I reported the sexual assault.
Her mentor later said the judge's power and authority contributed to the pressure she felt, and he told her he would have sway over a job she wanted. The former clerk heard from friends the judge was furious, and when she ran into him, he warned her to keep her head down and shut up.
The actual sexual assault was awful. It was completely awful. And, I've since sought therapy for that and help, but what happened next was almost worse.
The court system ultimately launched an investigation into the judge, Joshua Kindred. What followed were multiple rounds of interviews with investigators who cross-examined her and stress-tested her credibility. The court investigation took more than a year. All the while, 2 other young women clerks in the judge's chambers continued to work by his side. Then, in July,
now, with the Ninth Circuit's report released just hours ago, we learned back in May that the judge was told he could face impeachment if he did not resign for what the council concluded was sexual misconduct with a clerk.
Judge Joshua Kindred told investigators that the sexual experience was consensual and that he had no, quote, sinister intent. The special committee found the judge deliberately lied when he said nothing sexual had happened between them. But the committee did not reach a conclusion about whether the judge sexually assaulted the former clerk, finding there was enough evidence to say the judge committed misconduct without even resolving that issue. Judge Kindred did not respond to NPR's attempts to reach him for comment. The clerk said she felt let down by the process.
I was sexually assaulted. I'm not sure why that was a fact in dispute. Perhaps not a fact in dispute, but not a conclusion drawn by the report. And I've never wavered on that fact, that was immediately what I reported to the U.S. Attorney's Office.
The federal judiciary points to the departure of the Alaska judge as a demonstration the system works. The Administrative Office of the Courts, which sets policy from Washington, says they've taken extensive steps to protect clerks and other workers since the Me Too movement swept the country in 2017. And they say they hold judges to the highest standards. But our investigation uncovered problems with the reporting system in the judicial branch. For one, there's a widespread culture of fear. And there's a good reason for that. Jamie Baker's a former judge who also worked in the White House and the military.
The location where I found the power differential the most distinct was when I was serving as a judge with law clerks. And I think that's something worth noting.
Not only is the relationship intense, it often comes with a huge age gap. Gabe Roth is executive director of Fix the Court. He's pushing the federal courts to be more accountable.
Judges are life tenured. The average age of federal judges right now is about 65 or 68. Law clerks, they are roughly, let's say, 26 to 30.
Another person pushing for change is Congresswoman Norma Torres, a Democrat from California.
Well, good morning, everyone. It's good to see all of you here.
Last fall, she convened a group of experts on the Hill to try to draw attention to the problem.
I don't need to be a lawyer to know that people in power with no oversight get to sweep people and problems under the rug.
Torres says the courts operate in a patchwork, so no one's in charge of overseeing all the systems that employees use to report misconduct. She's working alongside Georgia Congressman Hank Johnson.
Good morning. Pleasure to see you, sir.
Great to see you also. Thank you all for being here. You ready to go? Okay.
Johnson's walking us through the Rayburn House office building and into the Capitol to introduce the Judiciary Accountability Act. His bill would make clear the same legal protections for workers in the private sector and the executive branch also apply to the 30,000 people who work for the federal courts.
This is just one small step, but a very important step to bring about some accountability.
The legislation did not get a hearing before Congress left town last year. The people who work for federal judges, for probation departments, for public defenders, they can't go to the executive branch for help. And it's not clear they can sue in courts either. Eliza Schatzman runs the Legal Accountability Project.
The federal judiciary is outrageously exempt from Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. That means that if you are a law clerk and you are sexually harassed, fired, retaliated against by a federal judge, you have no legal recourse.
The federal courts say they've done a lot to make sure workers are treated with dignity and respect. But I've been told clerks who run into trouble on the job still face tremendous pressure to remain silent. A bad word from a judge can derail a clerk's career, while judges serve for life. I heard it again and again. Those judges who behave badly, often it's an open secret inside the courthouse, but nobody does anything about it. Many clerks graduated from top law schools and pride themselves on their smarts and resilience, only to break down in tears when they talk about hostile treatment they suffered working for federal judges. The judiciary protects its own, one clerk told me. Another said, I can handle a tough boss. I can't handle an abusive boss. I just wish more people would talk about it. Carrie Johnson, NPR News, Washington.
It's your turn, sucker! I know why! I know why! I know why! I'm black! What? Black? Yeah, I'm black! Hey, black! Me black! Why you black? Me black! I'm black! Me! You and me, same! We same.
He somehow began his career in Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing and has worked with a murderer's row of Hollywood's best directors over a 3-decade career that is still going strong. But you may know him best from 2 things. One, he was a cast member on the revolutionary sketch show In Living Color, a cultural moment where he not only helped change television forever, but introduced us to stars like Jim Carrey, Jamie Foxx, and Jennifer Lopez. And 2, his bone-chilling, scene-stealing, and somehow humorous moment in the Academy Award-winning movie Fargo, where he breaks down to an old high school friend about his deep well of sadness, and then tries to seduce her after detailing the death of his wife, which is definitely a lie. And in addition to these unforgettable projects, here are some other movies you've seen him in. Kindergarten Cop, Quick Change, Toys, Falling Down, A Serious Man, Snowpiercer, The French Dispatch, Asteroid City, and the highly anticipated upcoming Bong Joon-ho sci-fi film, Mickey 17, starring Robert Pattinson. But today, we are sitting him down to talk about the one time he was on a primetime family sitcom, playing Jumpmaster in Season 5's Standout, and an episode in contention for our favorite ever, Raging Corey, helping the Matthews men bond by putting their life on the line. Welcome to Pod Meets World, a true artist. It's Stephen Park. So one more thing I did want to talk to you about was back in 1999, after a disappointing experience on the set of a very massive sitcom, you wrote, way ahead of its time, an incredibly brave mission statement to Hollywood about status, power, and racism in Hollywood, about the difficulties you faced finding work as an Asian actor, and especially work that you felt like you could be proud of. So I really recommend everybody read it. It is still on the internet. And you'll realize, Steve was saying these things 26 years ago, and they are still relevant. Can you tell us what the effects of that letter were at the time?
Well, let me just say the show is Friends.
Okay.
It was, at the time for me, I felt it was kind of a toxic environment.
Yep.
And this racist, the AD calling, James Hong was the actor who was also on the episode with me, and he was calling him to the set and, essentially saying, where the f is the Oriental guy? Get the Oriental guy. So when I called Screen Actors Guild after that happened, and the person I spoke with recommended I write an article to the LA Times.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, oh, okay, that might be a good idea. And I just seen Jerry Maguire. I don't know if you remember that movie, but he writes a mission statement.
Yeah.
My wife Kelly's in that movie, by the way. And for some reason, that just kind of struck me like, that's kind of why don't I write a mission statement to Hollywood? Because this is bigger than this show. This isn't the first time this has happened.
Yeah.
But this is the environment where this is business as usual in Hollywood in 1997, I guess it was. And nobody felt the need to correct this or say anything about it. So this is normal behavior. And so I started writing this mission statement, and I sent it to the LA Times. They sent a couple of reporters, and they interviewed me, and then they never printed it. And so this was like the beginning of the internet, and I had my email list, and I sent my mission statement out to who was on my email list, and I said, if this moves you, please forward it along. But I just explained I was interviewed, and they're not going to print this. So if you feel moved to send this along, please do. And then within a week, I was getting responses from all across the country from publications that were asking permission to reprint it. And so it was like this, it went viral, before viral was even a word.
Yeah.
And I went to San Francisco at some point that year to do a play. And I was interviewed up there. I was on the cover of The Guardian, wrapped in the American flag. I was interviewed in The Examiner. And it all kind of culminated. I mean, I also spent about a year being invited to different colleges to speak about this. And then I was given this award by an Asian American Arts Foundation up in San Francisco, and it was handed to me by Jesse Jackson. And
Wow.
So that's kind of how this all played out. And then, soon after, it was like my son was born in 2000, and right before that, I decided to quit acting. I was kind of, I had become so race conscious and so angry that I was looking at everything through the lens of race. And I felt like I couldn't, there's no freedom. I didn't feel any freedom. So, and I didn't have any idea what I was going to do, but I just decided to drop out, and I told everybody I'm not acting anymore. And so about a year went by. I was just being a stay-at-home dad, and maybe about a year later, somebody had asked me to audition for something, and I said okay, because I didn't know I wasn't doing anything. And then that was like a slow climb back into the business, and it was very, very gradual. And I think there wasn't a lot of work anyway for Asian American actors.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until a few years later, I remember I was listening to Bobby Lee's podcast, and he was talking with Margaret Cho, and Bobby Lee, he mentions my name, and he said, "Oh, he got blacklisted." And I was blacklisted? I had no idea.
I thought I left.
Yeah. But then I realized, oh, that is the common kind of, I think a lot of people thought that, especially in the Asian American community.
Right.
I think believed that I was blacklisted. And I thought, oh, wow. And I remember I texted Bobby and said, I wasn't blacklisted. But who would have known anyway, because I wasn't really working much anyway.
Right.
There wasn't a lot of work. But, it took me a while, I think, to not only get back into the business, but to move beyond this race consciousness that had overwhelmed me. And it was a lot of spiritual work. I've been on huge spiritual journeys. I've gone to Machu Picchu with Don Miguel Ruiz, who wrote the Four Agreements. I've done meditation retreats. I've done ayahuasca. I've done so many things. And I think over the years, I began to understand the ego. I began to understand identify how the ego works, and how I just this identification with the body, for instance, is egoic, and recognizing that the true self is the presence that is always here and always now, and that the body comes and goes, and my name, my race, everything that all the labels you can put on me, all came after what I call I. They're not inherently this eternal I that we all are.
Right.
And I think that's what I eventually arrived at. And so that freed me. That insight freed me.
Wow.
Jeez.
What an incredible journey.
Amazing. Well put.
I mean, yeah, very well put. And
I'm curious about this moment. You know, you talk about this race consciousness that you sort of arrived at. You were already like mid-career. I mean, you had already been working. I mean, was part of this recognizing that, especially, you know, auditioning for parts and reading scripts before that? I mean, there must have been so many times when you were asked to audition for what was essentially a stereotype or a role that.
Oh, yes.
And were you turning those parts down, or were you just a hungry enough act? Oh, yeah. So you were already making choices.
Oh, yeah. I was turning stuff down all the time. So that was just kind of the norm at that time.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, now it's just a completely different scene now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of amazing.
Decals. Gus T. Renegade, in for another broadcast, hopefully to share constructive information on the global system of white supremacy. Today's date, Thursday, March 6, 2025. So I have been told, hopefully everybody has got it together in terms of the rescheduling so we don't have people excited. Is it time? Mad Dog 2020? Maya Angelou, that's week. Oh, wait a minute. Catherine Massey Book Club is on Fridays. Neutralizing Workplace Racism back to its original spot on Thursday. So if you are excited and thought we were about to get into it, MD 2020, you had yours ready to crack. Save it. Put it in the fridge. Be ready to roll tomorrow. Same time. 8 p.m. Eastern. 5 p.m. Pacific. Neutralizing Workplace Racism for today, not for spectators. Never for spectators. Federal employees, other folks, entrepreneurs. It's Women's History Month, so I guess we got non-white female entrepreneurs. Let us know how it is going on the job. 605-313-5164, the code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. The number again, 605-313-5164, the code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. The email, untiljustice@gmail.com, untiljustice@gmail.com. If you attempt to dial in anywhere in the world, you have difficulties, happens to many, many folks, including Gus T. You can always use the VoIP dialer. It's downloadable. They have an app, freeconferencecallhd.com. So they have the free VoIP dialer, which is web-based. You can just go online to Free Conference Call HD, and you'll see their web dialer that you can use. Free, works anywhere in the world. And then you can chat if you have a question, want to participate. Star 61, you'll see it on the dial pad. And it works the same if you download the app, Android, iPhone. You can go to the App Store, Free Conference Call HD. Download the app. Once you have it, when you open it, you'll see it looks just like the phone dialer, dial pad, 605-313-5164, the code 564943 pound. And then same procedure, you want to participate, star 61. That is the hack if you are defeated, attempt to dial in. Sometimes they try to charge people who dial in on their mobile or whatever it is. Use the app. That way you can listen and or participate. Alrighty, let's see. Audio segments, and then we'll get to the folks who emailed and dialed. I'm going to start with the segment at the end. Stephen Park, non-white male. Non-white, non-black male. Now, depending on your age and the amount of television that you've watched, you've probably seen Stephen Park, regardless. If you had just told me, do you know who the actor Stephen Park is? I'm like, Then once I looked at his, like, film catalog, like, what? Wait a minute. Falling Down? Falling Down with Michael Douglas? Falling Down? Which Dr. Welsing reviewed, incidentally. In Living Color? Do the Right Thing? Which we heard the preference that segment. What? Fargo? What? And it just goes on and on one side because he's, still in film and television. So I was pretty Snowpiercer. Like, he's been in lots of things that I have seen that you've seen too. And so, incidentally, that scene from Do the Right Thing, Spike Lee, where Mr. Park, he has the Korean grocery store. He said, me black, iconic scene where they have the riot and all that at the end. Me black. They're going to go and tear down his store. You, me, same, me black. And the black people in the crowd, but they don't burn down his store. Now, given the climate that we have now, and this is even, that film came out a couple years before L.A. and Rodney King and all of that, but man, oh man, I know a whole lot of folks that are, me black, get out of, burn him down. But Fuller, all the folks sitting around, and they miss some Fuller, and Fuller meant so much. That is exactly what Fuller would say. Yes, he black. You just have shades of black. Didn't Fuller say that and wrote that? And he stood on that one for decades. You just have shades of black, and Dr. Welsing co-signed on that one. That's another one. Always, I'm just curious. You have so many people who venerate these two. The things that so many of us who are classified as black say, both of them don't know what the hell they're talking about. Name calling other black people, being in conflict with other non-white people, whether they are black or not. So curious. Any hoodles. We miss you, Fuller. We still gonna name call, but we miss you, Fuller. Any hoodles. Stephen Park. So I didn't even know, even though we talked about Fargo on the program. I remember that scene where Stephen Park is trying to seduce this married white woman and telling all these, like, he's kind of an emasculated Asian male and the racism and all that. Ugh, that whole scene. Anyway, which they say is pivotal to the movie Fargo. Anyway, that segment with Stephen Park, he talks about being on the hit show Friends. So popular and all that. He didn't even say nothing about Michael Richardson. He didn't even say it was old Michael Richardson who said, get that Oriental back over. Where's the Oriental? Jesus Christ. You can't change chaps and Orientals. Oh, he didn't even say that. And he said nobody said it. Of course nobody. Isn't this the same show where they had Michael Richards? I didn't watch Friends. I don't watch Friends. I don't know anything about it. I think Michael Richards is about it. But I think he was on that one, right? Nigger. Of course it's normalized. It's normal today. He says what to do. He says he went to SAG, Screen Actors Guild, which still exists today, very prominent, very powerful in Hollywood. They have their award show and all of that, shows annually. He says he goes to representative, probably not Spike Lee or Whoopi Goldberg. He goes to the folks at SAG, what to do. They talking about, Orientals and practicing racism on the set of Friends and what to do. I said, I know. You should write an op-ed in the L.A. Times. Now, granted, the L.A. Times, then and now, is not, the Inquirer, is not your regular free news magazine that they have, sitting out on the curb or whatever. It's the LA Times. It is one of the most powerful, well-known news magazines, newspapers in the world. Granted, but I mean, that's the best we can do. Write an op-ed in the LA Times and hope people will read this. And he said at first there wasn't really much of a response. Duh. Now he says eventually it did catch on, got republished, and he got to speak for about a year's worth of momentum in the late 90s. And this is even after the O.J. Simpson trial in California and all that. But it seems like he had all this California activity, got to meet Jesse Jackson. How about that? And all the rest of it. And then he says he got so race conscious. I guess he was infused the spirit of Orenthal. He was so race conscious and angry that he quit Hollywood. Now, I even had to pause and process there, because within hearing all of this, Stephen Park is married to a white woman that he met on the set of In Living Color. His wife was in Living Color as well. Wacky. But I have heard this repeatedly, where you have non-white people who begin to get a slightly, and I do like a slightly better understanding of racism. They got a 50 on the test the first time. Now you got a 60 on the test, which is still an F, even though you did improve markedly. 10%, that's still an F. We get upset. We got our 60. We are upset about racism. We non-white people, any shade, and we're married to a white person. That's Dr. Eddie Moore Jr., married to a white person, producing children with a white person, but mad about racism, allegedly. W. Kamau Bell, it's a long list for a long period. France Fanon, it's a long list of this. I'm mad about racism. Whitey. Hi, Susie. I don't know if his wife is Susie. I'm just saying hypothetically. Chris Rock joked about that. I told you that is the counter-racist theorist of our times, 20th and 21st century. Everybody else is playing for second. Fuller, Welsing, everybody else. Second is Chris Rock. But he said that. Get mad about racism and go home to a white person. That's why all of that new agey spiritualism and ego and this isn't my body and this isn't my race and you put these labels on me and race soldiers love that. And he was talking to individuals classified as white in that segment. They love that. We're going to stomp on these niggers forever. All of the niggers, the Japs, the slant eyes, the niggers, the double niggers, the ADOS niggers, the tethers, all of them. We're going to stomp on all of them forever. And if it's any of them on Mars, we got our white brother Elon Musk. Look out there. If it's any of them, we're going to stomp on them too. They love that. Get on all that new age and this ain't my body and I'm not no prisoner and you the prisoner and I'm not no victim and you the victim and I'm not even tired of this and I'm not even really white and I'm not even black and you really the nigger and all BGQ. And that is about what I would expect. Tragic arrangement, all that soothing lotion. What Fuller said, it turns the mind to rot. I will say I had such a big smile on my face though when Stephen Park, he said when he was all upset, he still had his white woman. He said he let her go because not all white peoples is racist. He still got his white woman, but he said I'm mad about racism. I'm mad about all this. Take a break. Not gonna act no more. I'm done with it. Go meditate. Be spiritual. Hang out with the fellow who wrote the 4 agreements. This is the second time that I've heard a black person boasting about associations or having read or reading the 4 agreements, a book I have read. Not on my top 10 list though. I mean, come on. And that is kind of an older book too. Like I've been hearing people brag, but like, man, that book is like at least 25 years old, maybe older. I'm not saying it's not constructive, but just we're going to read something old. How about Medical Apartheid? Delectable Negro. That's 10 years old now. Older, 11. Anyway. But the 4 agreements and all that, which doesn't say anything about racism. And then he said, I got into the ayahuasca. Man, I'm going to tell you, Gus T, if I ever get to a point where I'm done done with all of this attempted counter-racism, done with all of the non-white people, black people, tethers, all of y'all have got on my nerves. You know what? I'm done with Gus T. I'm a rebrand and just talk about yoga, eating vegan food, trying to be healthy, not being in conflict with other folks and talking about all craziness like racism. I wouldn't talk about nothing about racism, and I would totally rebrand. I had said this, I've been saying this for about a year and a half. My rebrand, I would see if I could kick it with my man Aaron Rodgers, because he's about to retire and everything. I would be the good fella, Johnny Ayahuasca. People would love to talk to the good fella, Johnny Ayahuasca. And that's the way they would have the whole name. Like, that's a brand people could. Gus T. Renegade? Like, yeah. The good fella, Johnny Ayahuasca. I'd have people's parents and such. They go and tell their mom, I'm talking to Johnny Ayahuasca. She's the good fella? Huh. I love Johnny Ayahuasca. See, the rebrand. Everybody, I could go, Stephen Park, we'd be doing the podcast together, have us ayahuasca session, and man, no mention of racism. Have his white wife come in, we mo ayahuasca for all. The good fella. Until then, though, worthless Negro from Virginia. See, that doesn't have no ring to it at all. All right, so Stephen Park, good luck, brother. We'll go back. I'm going to go back and watch Do the Right Thing just to see him with the broom. He had that broom. He was swinging it. Get back. I'm black. So the first report is about the fatty liver disease. All of that sitting. Now, at this juncture, that is, sitting and being sedentary and watching television. That pretty much is racist culture. Now, white people do the jogging and all that refined. They go out and go to the park and get the dog and all the rest of it. But I mean, really, that is a big chunk of racist culture. Going to the job, sit down, get your big desk, put your feet up on the desk, and sit all day. Sit on the keyboard, annoy other non-white people. You working, all fluids, you work on them. That's a big part of it. Go home, watch minstrel shows on television. Stephen Park on Friend. Look at the Oriental. That's a big part of what racism, white supremacy is all about. Now, for the non-white people, because they said people in India, there's a whole lot of non-white people there too. They said it's even higher. If you're older, you have these tech jobs and such. They have apps and all the rest of it. If you're at a computer, like myself, have to do all the podcasting and writing and blah, 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 and all the rest of it, reading. They have apps that you can put on your phone, all the rest of it, that just will remind you to get up and go move. This is something I do. Get up, go move. And it doesn't matter if I'm at my residence, if I'm out, if I'm at University of Washington. I even did this when I was in California, right? Because that's a whole lot of sitting there, right? Going through archives and reading about Jim Jones drugging black people and stealing children and all the rest of it. I would get up about every hour or so. You put it every 90 minutes. I think about every 45 minutes to an hour would be best. But doing this, you don't want to be sitting all day. Just get up. Go outside. I would walk around the block. And there they had inclines at the library there, so you can get a little uphill activity and get that heart moving a little bit. Work those hamstrings, quads a little bit, glutes. Go out and walk around the block. Sunny California, maybe do 2. Walk up the steps a little bit. Get some motion and just do that at regular intervals during your day. I do this when I'm here, University of Washington, same thing. Now, if it's a day like today, sunny, lovely, spring is a-coming, you go outside. Put my glasses on, that way adjust your eyes. They talk about that sitting in front of that screen is horrible also for your eyes, which wasn't even mentioned in the report. Put your glasses on, go outside, maybe see some cute young ladies. Hey, you know about Mr. Fuller? Oh, never mind. Dang. Keep walking, be constructive, head back in. If it's rainy, no problem. That doesn't mean you sit around sloth just because it's rainy, which it is prone to do here in Seattle, although not today. Then, if I'm at the library, that facility is so large, I just get up and walk the facility. And I do the stairs too, because again, it's so large think they have 4 or 5 floors. You can just walk the stairs. Take, 3-4 times, walk up and down the stairs, walk the entire floor or walk a few of the floors. Hey, you get good 10-15 minutes, your heart will be feeling it. And like I said, go back, sit down, go back to work, wait another 45 minutes, an hour, get up, do the same thing. Great impact just to break up that rhythm. And even a lot of offices and such, now they have, where I won't say a lot of them, but it's becoming more popular where they will have adjustable desks so that you can stand. That also to break up some of that monotony. If you do still have to be in front of the screen, you can elevate the desk so that you can still get everything done and type comfortably and all of that, but you are standing. That's something I even do at my residence. Just go to the table. You can put something underneath it so you can lift the laptop up or what have you. If you don't have a desk that can be raised, elevated, but just anything to break that up so that you're not just sitting. That can be bad for your back too, just doing hours and hours of just sitting all day. Get up and move around on a regular basis, if it's at the work or at home when you're doing all that sitting around, and have some water too. That's another one where I said too, if you're drinking water, we've had some folks who talk about that, that will force you to get up to answer nature's call so you can kind of plug in some of your walking when you go to the restroom. You can even plan to go to the bathroom that is furthest away from your work area and maybe not even on your floor. So it's far away from where you work and then it's not on your floor, and then take the stairs to get there and back. That way you get exercise in, and that can be every time you have to go to the bathroom. That's your plan to make sure that you get up and move yourself around a little bit. Very important. Let's see. Next report. So we got the fat limit. Man, the immigrants. Now I got Fuller's Voice in again, and same concept really. Now all that talk, we black and proud, excluding the tethers and folks that were not born here, and even folks who don't have at least 8 great grandparents all born in Georgia, verifiable birth certificates and all. All of that wide perspective. However, the non-white people who maybe have 4 great-grandparents born in Mississippi and the rest, non-white people not born here, non-white people not classified as black. I don't think they are the problem, and especially if we're in California and you say we got all these toxins, toxic soil, toxic air, toxic water. You can't even go and sweep all this up. Oh, Lord, you got the asbestos in your lungs and lead in your lungs, and oh, my God. Who they say we're going to go get? We only go get the immigrants, documented or no. Man, wait a minute. Now, you can't sit here and tell me Pedro is ruining everything, and you go talk about the job that nobody wants to do. Might die. They just told us during COVID-19, we don't even have no PPE to, help anybody out, make sure you don't get the Rona or nothing. Now you got all this. You're going to tell me we're going to make sure that everybody gets new gloves, glasses, body suit. Really, I was like, why is this day labor work? This seems like hazmat. This does not seem like, go grab somebody who, what you say, just tunneled over here illegally, barely speak English, and all of that. This seems like something that would be some serious training to go in through all this debris and, whoa, don't touch that. Careful about that. Got careful techniques, how this is supposed to be, put away here and blah, blah, blah. Nah, just, get Gomez. Okay? You read? You can't, don't worry about it. You know what asbestos is? You don't know? No, all right. Come here, Gomez. Just like, do what? Do what? And then you already remember they were talking about all the children, immigrants, some documented, some not, that they get at the chicken factory to get the chicken guts off the floor at 3 a.m. Why would I think that all of the day laborers that they go and nab to go and get the asbestos and lead and other debris from the fire area, why would I think all of them are going to be adults? Pedro is 13 or 12. What does it matter? Get in there and get Man, we got property to sell. We literally got fire sales. Get in there, Pedro, and clean that up. And then we get you over to the chicken factory. To live and die in L.A. That's another. Fuller talked about that, where they play both sides, where they start all that nonsense about, oh, Lord, Pedro and the immigrants, and they're coming over. You heard them say that repeatedly, and I've heard this before. We can't have no L.A. without the immigrants. Got to have them. We can't even get the Hollywood sign lit up if we can't have Pedro and them over here working. Good Lord. How we going to get this cleaned up? Who you think going to get in here and clean up all that mess? I'm going to get no asbestos in my lungs. Playing both sides. That's why they said they can't get nothing done about this, because apparently white people want Pedro here to get the lettuce and clean up the fire debris. Just say that then. Stop all that lying and practicing racism about dark people is coming to rape us. Just say that. We need these dark people and need to exploit them. Sacrifice Pedro's lungs. Just say that. Don't be getting us in conflict with black people either. Let's see. The judge now, the federal judges that did hit my brain could be like, oh man, are these folks that could be laid off, the clerks and other staff members that work at the courthouse? I assume they won't lay the judges off, but I mean, are these federal employees? Dang. Anyway, they go in NPR and they're talking about, they go for all of these staff members. Now, that was NPR and audio, so I don't have visual. I would love to know the demographics. How many non-white people work as court staff members? I would love to know. I remember it was a young lady, black female, who read the verdict in the O.J. Simpson case. But I would love to know how many of her and how many dudes do you have working as court clerks across the U.S. Because they said you have to go to school and all that to get the skills and everything. Even the folks that do the stenography, that you have to go to school and learn how to type for that and work on your typing skills and know the shorthand code for all of that. And you're going to go in court and write all of that down and be accurate, because that's serious. Trial transcripts are important. What are the demographics for that? Anywho, because I suspect there's probably a lot of white women in this position. But they said, man, there's no oversight there. That what do you do there? You can't even write the L.A. Times like they told Stephen Park. What do you do there? Judge is being abusive and sexually harassing you and making all these lewd comments now. And even you heard in that segment now, when they started talking to some of these clerks who, again, there's no video. I suspect these are white people, white women specifically, but I don't know. They start talking to these folks. And that first female that they spoke to, and she said when she started the job, the judge, he started to test her limits. That highlight, underline, that right there, that's standard predator, that is standard race soldier. And we talk about that on the job all the time. The great Walter Beach, two-time guest on the program, won a Super Bowl with the great Jim Brown. He said the metaphor, cut it at the knees. And I picked that up, and I'm going to take that one. Thank you, Mr. Beach. Thank you for sharing it with us. That is something that is important for the job, because I agree with that. Race soldiers, predators in general, that's what they do. I'm going to try you. I'm going to see what I can get away with. And they might start with something slick. We've talked about it can be something as small as they mispronounce your name. They come in with these racist nicknames and the rest of it. That's why we said consistently, I cut it at the knees. That is not my name. My name, Johnny Ayahuasca, every time. I played the segment last week. They call it Mad Max. Pause. My name is Vernon Maxwell. Max is not even my name. They're going to try you. We talked about that with the physical contact. You get them, they want to come in and do some old Epstein on you. Come in and get the fondling. You got a Jimmy Savile. I work at the BBC, and I'm still going to do some fondling and child rape. And they might start off, they just come in and squeeze you on the shoulder. I've talked about this. Males and females. Males and females. Soon as they come in and get the squeezing and fondling, we've talked about it. Jerk away immediately. Please do not ever touch me. First time. First time. Males and females. Talked about that. You can go practice that. Be in front of the mirror if you have an attempted care mate, siblings, parent, friend, neighbor, whatever. You can go and practice this, different vignettes where they, try and come up and grab you on the back, or pat you on the, shoulder, that type of, oh, how you doing? That, please do not touch me. And that's even one. It is so in, you can think Stephen Park, because for a lot of folks, that would be their dream job. I'm on TV and I'm acting and I'm working with Spike Lee and I'm on the set of Fargo or Friends or whatever. This is my dream job. And what did he say? Jap? What? Slant? What did he call me a coon? What? You might have to think now. They might fire me if I speak out. This is my dream job. This is what I always want. I brag and show off to my friends. You see me? Got me on IG with Spike Lee, man. You see me? Am I going to say something? Keep my mouth shut. Victims guaranteed qualified, but at minimum, that's something you have to think about. And you should already have in mind that certain things I'm just not going to tolerate. And I don't care what it is. I don't care. Working in the courtroom, working in Hollywood, I make $1 billion, whatever. Certain things, no way. I told y'all last year I saw the movie at the Seattle International Film Festival, The Black Sea, that a black male, he got stuck in Bulgaria of all places. Had to get a job. He was on the job, racist white man. There was dog feces on the ground. He tells the black male, you go over there and you pick it up right now. And the black male, he's working hard. As I always say about us, this black male wasn't shiftless. He wasn't drinking on the job. He wasn't trying to talk to white women. He was on time. He was doing the work, trying to get money so he could get out of Bulgaria. Whoopee. He said, get that dog feces off the ground. Oh, yes, sir. I'll get it right now. Go get the broom, clean up have the whole block sparkling. No. You get it up with your hands right now. And the black male is still like, what? What? The broom is... No. You pick it up right now with your hands or you're fired. And he's like, dang, I'm in another continent, another country. I don't have any money. I'm broke. And so he bends up to pick up the dog feces. He stops, and the black self-respect, he said, that, I can't do it. Nope, I quit. No way. All of us, and it doesn't matter, all of us have to have our own individual, hey, certain things I'm just not going to tolerate. Whether it's dog poo, sexual abuse, calling me nigger, it could be a lot of things. Slant-eyed, it could be a lot of things. But certain things I'm not going to do, I'm not going to tolerate. And if that means I don't have this job anymore, that's what it means. If I have to take a day to think about that, like, are you serious? You ain't going to work on Friends no more? Yes, I'm serious. I'm not going to work on Friends no more. They up there calling folks Japs, and, it's just not, you seen what they did to Rental James? I'm done. I don't tolerate that. And I ain't watching Friends no more. That Michael Richards dude, I don't like the cut of his jib either. Yeah, I'm done with Friends. Any hoodles. And talk to your offspring about that, because it's likely to happen. Hopefully not something so bad that they have to quit a job over, but hey, it might be something that you have to think about. And at minimum, I'm going to have to say something about this. Hopefully they can recognize that this is a problem and something that should not be happening, so I don't have to lose this job. But I have to say something about this because this is unacceptable. And it's a whole lot of unacceptable behavior in the system of white supremacy racism, especially in the workplace. Number again, 605-313-5164, the code 564-943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. The email untiljustice@gmail.com. Oh, it was Seinfeld. Michael Richards was on Seinfeld. I messed up my white sitcoms from the 90s. Michael Richards was on Seinfeld. That's the white dude, Michael Richards, who's niggers out here heckling me during my stand-up set. He was on Seinfeld, not Friends. So I've got my sitcoms reversed. And again, I didn't watch either of these sitcoms. Either way, strive for accuracy. So how about that? The two popular 90s sitcoms, Friends, one of the own actors on the show, man, got all this normal racism, the way they talk about it. And then Michael Richards is the star of Seinfeld. That's TV in the night. And even to the point Stephen Parks went about how much things have changed. Like, I don't know what universe you are on, but man, Scandal? Things have changed? Like, do what? Do what? What 21st century TV viewing do you have? Like, I ain't seen very much of a change. Yeah. Anyway, let's see. Folks who dialed in with a hand up. Let's see. Victim times 3 should be with us. Let's see.
Hello, may I be heard?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Gus. Thank you for taking my call, and greetings to the COWS listeners and callers. I'll start off by saying more to your point about, I guess, the dangers of California or LA in particular. We have a large population size of about 10 million or so people within the LA County. And right now, it is raining. It's about 46 degrees, and as you expect, there's a lot of accidents I'm seeing on the street right now. So rain just adds another level of danger to LA. Your, I guess, clip that you played about, I guess, the fatty tissue and just getting exercise, I recently just started this goal of trying to get 2 miles at least walking in while I'm at work, because I do have a sit-down job. And I decided to go out and just get 2 miles around the building. It takes me about a little bit under 40 minutes to do that. But my manager can see me from the window, so they know what I'm doing. I'm not away from my desk for too long. So I recently started doing that. I'm trying to get it up to about 10,000 steps, which I believe about 3 miles or so. But that is recommended, about 10,000 steps to, reduce weight and stuff like that. So I'm doing that now. I also recently acquired a sit and stand desk. So yeah, I have a little, nerve issue on my leg. So that's part of the reason why I'm walking more, and I have a sit and stand desk now. So that's actually a great point about getting active and being mobile. On my I have one of those smart watches things, and it does alert me if I'm sitting down too long to get up and get moving. So that part. The clip you played, well, I didn't catch all of them, but the clip you played about the judge, I believe, the judge is being, supposedly investigated or was investigated for the sexual harassment. To me, it looked, well, it sounded like, but I can't rely on that it could be a lot of white people that work there. But what I heard significantly about that clip, a lot of the people said, well, I didn't speak up, or I was working alongside the judge because of my quote-unquote career. I wanted to get this other job and things of that sort. I guess that goes back to what Mr. Fuller said about valuing, self-preservation over justice. So I guess that's something to consider. The clip about Mr. Park and his career so far, that's interesting that he worked with so many people and, dealing with the same discrimination. But I guess it's fortunate for him that he was able to take some time off and be a dad. I'm not too sure about what the ayahuasca stuff is. I'm not sure what that is. But I'm thinking it could be some kind of narcotic. And what was the other clip you had? About the I guess the fires in California and the building. I was just around that area. I did not get a chance to see how bad the damage was. I'll have to go back around that area to see if I can see how bad the damage is right now. But yeah, the cancer-causing material. He played a clip of that, I believe, a couple weeks ago. So yeah, I mean, people who are expendable, or the ones that go up there front line and get all of the damage from that. Today at my work site, I work with a I guess non-white, non-black female, and she was helping with some of my cases, and she said, "Hey, you're doing a real good job today." So okay, I appreciate that. Because I also helped her out with a couple of things that she was having issues with. Some of it is pronunciation. This is a quote-unquote Asian female. And she was telling me some of the issues that she had with people not understanding her on the job because of, I guess, her accent. But yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much it for so far, Gus. If I have anything else, I could speak up later. But thank you for taking my call, and I'll be my line.
Much obliged. Victim times 3 down in California. He said it's raining. Now, I know for a while they had fears that with the rain that might bring mudslides, or it did bring mudslides just within the past few weeks or so, and then having all the debris in the rainwater, which just washing it, further along in the LA County area. Just, man. And like I said, getting the most expendable to go out and clean all that up. I think that's hazmat. I'd have to go out and dig through all that. And, man. He said he's taken his own initiative, even before we played that report today, about getting his steps in at work. Said he's going to see if he can do 2 miles of walking while he's at work. Daily basis. Goes what I said, you can just go and walk around the building. You can walk, depending on how large the facility is, you could just, walk around inside the building. But he said, hey, I can walk around the block, walk around the building, do that a couple times throughout the day, and hey, maybe 4 times throughout the day if you're there for the normal, most of us, like 8 hours, 9 hours, whatever, during the day, you get 4 or 5 intervals in easily. Could be up to 2 miles easily. Just with a few, like I said, bathroom breaks, little extended bathroom breaks throughout the day. Easy. And that's easily enough to get that body moving, break up all that sedentary monotony, just sitting and slouching and screening and screening. Probably good for your eyes too, to get outside so you can look, not just be looking at a little narrow screen all day long. Love it. Let us know, I guess, if you can stick to it, and then hopefully not, but if the white people, if they say anything about this, even if they're making any jokes, we got new Carl Lewis out here taking these little walk breaks every day, or they might even try and join and come walk with you. He talked about the desk as well. That's something maybe even we can ask folks on our job to see if we can get one of those desks that can be raised, because they're becoming pretty popular, and more folks just talking about the health impact, because it's so poor for your health to be sitting all day long. At least you can lift it. You can, stand for an hour or so, sit back down for a little while, stand back up for a little while. That also super helpful, break up some of that monotony, have a little bit better health in the workplace. And drink that water. Make all that component as well. Drinking the water. Much obliged. Victim, he said the, I guess, so-called Asian female who complimented him in the workplace, right on, always appreciate focusing on work, aiding other non-white people. He said that people were He say mistreatment, but I guess people were alleging that they didn't understand her because of her accent. I don't know. I think sometimes that's one of the ways that white people practice racism, white supremacy, because white people at the NFL, they said that same thing about Lamar Jackson. Said, I don't know, he mumbled a mouth niggers and can't understand him and can't let him be quarterback, and Lamar Jackson was born here, so that's the white people. They will make up anything. Sound like he understood her. Victim. Sound like he didn't. What did you say? Huh? It sounded like he was able to pick out, what she was talking about without too much difficulty. So, and if she's competent, which I don't know, this non-white female, so-called Asian, that could be one of the ways of we are going to sabotage. Oh no, you can't have no self-esteem, be thinking that you do your job well, gonna be rising. We can't even understand you. What? What'd you say? What? And then they mock her when she says, ching chong, and they can understand her perfectly. Maybe she doesn't sound exactly like a white person. Maybe you wouldn't mistake her for Julia Roberts, but yeah, competent, we got it. Next project. Practicing white supremacy, racism. Compliment, right oblige. I wouldn't jump up down too much about that either. Like, right on somebody if it's a workplace compliment, not a compliment about our attire or, you look like Kendrick Lamar type of a thing. Just compliment, competent work, you're here on time, great, you helped me get something done. Right on, keep it pushing. Same way that Gus T operates here is, you don't have to say so what, but I still could be fired in the next 5 minutes, so right on, we'll keep it pushing. Let's see, much obliged. Victim. Let's see, other folks, if you have commentary, the number to dial, 605-313-5164, the code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Nab a quick email, then we'll get other folks who dialed in. Let's see. Email number 1. Hi, Gus and Cow's audience. Number 1, A.I. Ashley told everyone about her delectable Negro fascination with Lionel Richie last Christmas at the team lunch. Unfortunately, I was seated next to her, so I had to listen. See, that's what you got to talk about at the team Christmas lunch. Nothing constructive, just my love for the Negro crooner, cowbell. 2, they're in the process of organizing the team get-together, which requires traveling over 200 miles. Jesus, I am not going. What the hell, man? Like 200 miles? That's man, I know some people, like their code, anything that is over a 3-hour drive, that is a flight. Over 200 miles for that is a flight. Are you serious? Why can't we just go across the street? We're like, what in the world? Anyway, conveniently to the city where Shelley lives, and she's been the driver of this nonsense. Hey, what'd she say? I'm not going. Apparently, they will be meeting up in person once a quarter in every 3 months. Are you serious? So does that mean they're doing a 200-mile trek? You got to go 4 times a year? Man, and that's another one that I don't want to hear nothing about. We are green. I said that last week. I don't want to hear nothing. We are green. Save the planet. We love the squirrels and the turtles and the seals. We love them all, and we want to take care of the planet, and all that unnecessary traveling. Even if they're driving, all that unnecessary traveling, gas, even if it's electric. Come on, you got tires on the vehicle. Come on. 3, all of this, in my opinion, is Shelley's attempt at prying into my business, which she cannot do easily given physical distance. But as I'm not going, they have decided to develop a get to know me guide. This is essentially the same as the About Me guide that the racist ex-manager had devised. Racist codification. If I fill it out, that's a big if, it will focus on work. Brilliant. Or something I don't care about them knowing. Brilliant. That's what I mean. Like, you can do this for these types of forms where it works out even more to your advantage because it is a form, so you can really take your time and parse out, what I want to tell them. I want to keep it work focused, as she said. What if it's not work? I can pick out specific things that I don't mind sharing. It'll be the most bland thing. Obviously, I'm not telling anything about my children, husband, care mate, nothing like that. What sort of tires I like on my car and why. That type of thing. Have fun with that. 4. Last week, I reported that AI Ashley attempted to log off for the day at 4:25 p.m. without providing me with the draft of an email that I had requested the day before. Last Friday, AI Ashley logged off for the day at 3:21 p.m. Now, that is clowning. Wow, whatever. I'm out of here. You lucky I stayed until 3:21, man. I got, happy hour and things to do. Man. She left a message in the team chat wishing everyone a great weekend as if there was nothing unusual with her leaving at that time. To my surprise, Shauna replied, "You too." Real talk, there probably isn't anything unusual about her leaving at that time. I have seen this as well. I'd put this right up there with during December when it's a ghost town at a lot of offices, workplaces, 9-to-5 type offices, where white people either they have taken all their personal time and vacation time and just saved it for December, and so nobody comes in, or they just cheat and, whatever, come in when they feel like it, don't come in when they feel like it, because people are kind of lax about enforcement during the holidays. Same type of a thing. On Fridays, oh man, people dip. White people dip. After lunch, I would say pretty much after 1 p.m. on a Friday, I have been in offices where you are lucky if they are in. Deuces. We got things, we going to the beach, going to the bar, both, who knows, but I'm not going to be here. Dude, now, you try, that's one I would point out to non-white people. Don't you do this. In fact, you might even want to mark this down when you see white people doing it in terms of there's not equal enforcement of policy and procedure. But I have seen this. It's akin to the grace period when people coming in late. Black people, if you come in, you're supposed to be here at 8 o'clock, you get here at 8:10, right up. White person, supposed to be here at 8 o'clock, you get here at 8:15, So I would just make, notation if that sort of thing is happening. And if it's documented like that, you can see, oh yeah, click, say 3:21, say, because I don't want to hear nothing about time theft. You cut out of here early and blah, blah, blah. Like, whoa, 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 whoa. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Shauna is black supervisor. Man, how would this scenario have looked if the young lady who's writing us, black female, if she had done this? Friday, whatever comes, she got things to do. She got, nail appointment. I'm going to go get me a pedicure so I can wear my open-toe sandals, look cute this weekend. Then I'm going to leave at 3 o'clock. I do not think Shauna would, oh, have a good weekend, boo. We catch you on Monday, my black sister. I don't think so. I could be wrong. I don't think so. Number 5. I caught up with Shauna on Monday and asked if Ashley had a special arrangement that I was not aware of. Shelly starts her day early so that she can leave at 3:30 p.m. to pick up her son, which is in line with the flexible working policy. Bravo to help out the parents, right? Shauna said she doesn't know and was surprised that AI Ashley had logged off early and had noticed this on a few occasions. She said she was planning to find out from Zoe, who is AI Ashley's line manager. Like I said, this is normal behavior. I've been doing this the whole time I worked here. What y'all talking about? That's one. And two, again, so you just heard that from Shauna. Now, if this had been a black female doing this, because she was all courteous and she could have asked right then, as opposed to the response when she goes to log off, it would have been, oh, you two didn't, wait a minute, is this authorized? What sort of arrangement do you have to be leaving at 3:21? And if Shauna was aware that this is normal behavior, why hasn't she inquired previously? Make sure this is on the up and up, as they say. Document. Let's see, 6. Shauna claims that she tries not to police people's working hours so long as they're completing their work. Lie. I just listened while struggling to keep a neutral look on my face as I had a flashback to last October when she sent me a preemptive attack email after she assumed I wanted an extension to the work from home arrangement I had in place when I hurt my ankle. When you allegedly hurt your ankle. I remember that one because Shauna was like, where is the x-ray, nigga woman? Hurt your ankle. Niggas just lie and lie, hurt her ankle, and when we got to make accommodations. I remember that one vividly. Like, dang, I got to prove I hurt my ankle. Yes, nigga woman, you got to prove you hurt your ankle. Think I'm just going to take your word for it. Now, Shauna, on the other hand. Black sisters and brothers. I love it. Let's see. Number 7, we spoke about the quality of AI Ashley's work and her progress. I asked Shauna if Zoe had to spend as much time as I do reviewing and editing AI Ashley's work. It seems Zoe is also offloading. Shiftless. Why, I said last week, people working on a code for that. Has people figured out a way to stop this so that all the lazy white people don't just come and dump their work off on us, and then we have to do it with a smile? Has people been working on that? That would be a great one to share. Shauna recently told Zoe that she needs to do what I do, review AI Ashley's work rather than leaving it to Shauna. This revelation has only occurred to Shauna since I started working with AI Ashley. The problem is in part because AI Ashley disregards any instructions that Zoe gives her. Apparently, I'm lucky that AI Ashley listens to me at all. Dang. Dang. One thing I had forgotten about this person's work environment. So, her direct supervisor is a black female. I don't know where her people were born at and all that, but I know she's black. I think the person who is in charge, the most powerful person at this company, is a non-white person. Now, I don't think they're classified as black, but I think Harry, unless I'm wrong, is a non-white male, non-white, non-black male. If this is true, and so they have all of these dark people, various shades, who are in charge at this company, and then our caller too, who's there, although she's not the boss, but I mean, she's there. She seems like she's not the janitor. Like, that alone for a whole lot of white people, like, are you serious? We got to answer to all these niggers, and they seem like they might be competent. Like, oh my God. Like, that alone I could see being enough to cause a whole lot of white people. Fuller talked about that, like, man, I'm not doing nothing. I'm not listening to what none of these niggers are talking about. Like, I'm stealing from the petty cash. Like, I'm just here to sabotage and be shiftless, because it seems like we hear a lot of that. Even from the ex-racist manager who was there, who was so incompetent, she couldn't even get her promotion. It seems like there's a lot of that. Just no count, lame white people stealing from the company. Remember that white one who went out to the bar? She took the money that she was supposed to use for like her housing or room or whatever, and she went to the strip club. It seems like that's what this sort of environment is. That's something I'd be mindful about as well. Just all of the offloading of work. They don't want to do anything, and then the sabotaging when you tell them the correct way to do things and they ignore it like 4 times in a row. That sort of thing. I'm not going to listen to these niggas. And in fact, I'm resentful about being employed in an environment where niggers are running the show, type of a thing. Much obliged. The email untiljustice@gmail.com. Let's see. Non-Clemson grad Mama C.O.W.S. Dimple should be with us as well. If they have commentary, suggestions. Let's see.
Hello, can I be heard?
Yes, sir.
All right, good evening to everyone. I got quite a couple of stories, but first I'll start by commenting on one of the earlier stories. The fatty liver disease reminds me of the report about the military saying the U.S. population is too fat to be recruited. All right, so now it's the workplace racism stories from the week, at least for me. I got a response back from the transit director that said, ideally, this person will have worked in public transportation to either be able to bring strong grant, procurement, budgeting, and planning experience to the table. After reading this, I took this as we're using this as an excuse to ignore you, Negro. I sent my resume and my qualifications to the black male who was a transit planner there several years ago. And he said a similar situation happened to him before when he lived in Philadelphia before moving to South Carolina. He says they prefer people who come from transit agencies before hiring them. I did send a response email to the transit director criticizing my qualifications and examples of work I did in the categories that he mentioned in his response email. To my inquiry, including my experience in grant, procurement, budgeting, and planning experience. As of now, I've got no response from my end of the spectrum. Nevertheless, the transit provider is willing to train me on driving city buses so long as I get my CDL permit. Speaking of disease, CDL drivers tend to be obese, diabetic, and have sleep apnea. You have to do a physical every 2 years, and some drivers are losing their jobs due to health. What happens if there are not enough CDL drivers to transport the food we eat across the country? Also, even applying for this job gave me a great lesson in applying for stuff, even when you feel you won't get it. I was scared to even apply for the job, the transit management position, because I didn't want to insult the people at the transit provider, because I do have to work with these people from time to time. After conversations with my sister, who helped me along the way, she helped me to remember that if you want anything, you have to advocate for it, and that I didn't do anything wrong by advocating for myself. Next story. My black female planning director was fired this past week, early this week. The department administrator gathered all 4 departments by having the department managers gather their subordinates into the conference room. The way we were being gathered, we thought we were getting ready to be mass laid off. They even called the 2 work-from-home workers over speakerphone. The administrator walked in and said that the black female planner director is no longer employed with us. Then the meeting was over. The meeting only lasted a minute. There was no details on why she got fired. The former black female planner director still has personal items left in her office. Next story. Yesterday we did our 3rd or 4th swim lesson for Double Dimples. At the end of the lessons, we were in the shower rinsing off the chlorine water. One of the other fathers, white male, commented on how cute Double Dimples and her curly hair are. Double Dimples often gets compliments on how cute she is. Then I had a realization. If I was to compliment a white man's daughter, I think I'd go the way of Emmett Till. Next story. Today I took my CDL exam. It was made up of 3 parts, including general knowledge, air brakes, and passenger endorsements. I failed the passenger endorsement exam by 1 question. Luckily for me, I could just come the next day or the day after to retake the part of the exam I failed as opposed to taking all components of the exam again. I told this to my office administrator, white female, who in the past has defended me against the white female who used to accuse me of being office contagion because she used to work full-time for a trucking business. Afterwards, we started talking about raising children, and she told me about her now adult daughter and how I was raising her. She told me how her former husband gets together with her daughter and her half-sister's children and grandchildren every week. And sometimes the conversation devolves into people they don't like gays and black people. The office administrator went so far as to say her ex-husband's family is racist. Eventually, her daughter stood up and said, if you wanted to speak about people you don't like, then I will no longer join you for dinner. Was at this point that the other family members tempered what they were saying around her. I guess she was greatly pained. She said that when she first met her former husband, he didn't used to speak like that, but after they had their daughter and divorced, he would speak more openly about what he thought about gays and black people and whatever group of people they did not like in that conversation. She said it was one of the major reasons she left her ex-husband. I guess she was greatly pained. She told another story about her daughter was a teenager. She invited friends over to watch a movie. After the friends had left, her daughter said to her, I don't think we would have been able to bring my friends over to Dad's house because one of my friends was a gay black male. I guess she was greatly pained. And with that, I'll mute my line.
Dang. Shout to Double O Dimples. Want to make sure she got a few words in with us as well. Right on. Have fun at the swim lessons. Dang, I don't even know what. Man. That's why I talk about not, we're just going to talk about things related to the job, and that's it. Like, we're not drifting off and talking about nothing else. What in the world? Like, even parenting, we just talked about, wow, it's difficult being a parent, and so many challenges, and just do the best that you can, and get them as many languages early as you can, and when did you get them in swim lessons? No. We got to drift off into, my daughter brought a Negro home. Wouldn't have been able to take him to her dad's house because Dad doesn't like the Negras. What? Why are you telling this to me at this moment in life? Do you tell all the people at work this? Like, this is what y'all, we sit around at the copier or in line, cafeteria, waiting to get your edamame out the refrigerator? Slumber party this week. It had to have it at my place. It was integrated slumber party. Child's father's not with all that. He doesn't like the Leroys, you see. What? I just write all that in. I would just be thinking, like, how did we end up? We were talking about child rearing, and the dad doesn't like the Negras, and now he talks openly about all the gays and Negras that he does not like, and are you greatly pained by, like, what? I thought we were trying to get the sidewalk in the black part of town. Like, what does this man? Oh, man. And he said this was the same white woman that called him the Contagion.
That is not the same white woman.
Okay, thank you.
The office administrator is the one that defended me against the woman who used to liken me to the office Contagion.
Thank you. Thank you. Make sure we didn't get out. She defended him against the suspected race soldier who thought he was the contagion. And even, is this like a I'm on your side type of thing? I'm down. I don't play with that.
That's a very interesting question. I'm not sure about the down part, but at the very least, the other woman who is the office contagion, she has a strong dislike for that woman at the very least.
I don't know. We have heard this type of thing somewhat similar before, where a white person will just kind of randomly, like, volunteer their like anti-racist bona fides and start talking about, oh man, I sure do think that Huckleberry Finn book sure is racist. They shouldn't be talking like that in school. And I told my child's teacher I didn't want them reading that. Like, what? Why are you telling? What does this have to do? We don't even work at the school. Like, why are you telling me this? We work, what are you doing? We work at Walmart. We're buffing the floor. Like, what does this have to do with anything? That sort of thing I would be cautious of in the workplace. When a white person, they try and, however you articulate or phrase, process that, white person's trying to act like they're not racist and, seeming like, yeah, I think racism is a problem and, that's just terrible. Whatever. That is suspicious, and you should not be thinking, hey, they said not all white people are racist. Wrong. This is suspicious because we're not even talking about things related to the job. Now, the other thing with this white woman specifically, since you want to tell us all this, and now, person that you had children with, he's free. He talked about all the gay people he doesn't like and all the niggers he doesn't like. And, your daughter better not bring no nigger to his house for no slumber party and all the rest of it. You married this dude. You had children with this dude. I don't know how long if this was some fly-by-night, you all went to Vegas and, this was some 2-day affair type thing, but whatever. You all were married, children, all of that. He was a stranger? You didn't know about his racist tendencies until, way down the line. We didn't have these children and got divorced and all that, separation and all that. And now I find out, get out of here. That's insulting too. And it's a whole lot of that where white people miraculously, all of a sudden, we done been together and had 3 dogs and 5 children and 2 houses. And now I didn't know, but I think Teddy might be racist. Really? Well, I think you are too. You and Teddy. How about that? Much obliged. Let's see. Make sure I go back because I was so staggered by the last part of it. Like, what is going on? I married a racist? Is that you're going to write a book? That's it? I married a racist. That's going to be a bestseller at Clemson. They'll teach it and make the freshmen read that one when they come in for the fall. I married a racist. How to avoid making the same error I did. Go Tigers. Come on, man. It should be like volume 550 at least at this point, because, dang. How many white women have I heard saying this? It's generally the white women. I don't hear white dudes throw their white wife under the bus like that. White women do this all the time. I married a racist on accident. Oh, it was terrible. He said he had told us he was trying to get the promotion come up down in South Carolina, old privileged black male. And he told us last week, they said to ask, what ideal candidate are you all looking for in this position? Great question. He asks, and they say, we want someone who's got experience in public transportation. And he said he thought to himself, like, I think they're trying to willfully exclude me from this just because I haven't worked in public transportation. Like, White people do this sort of thing all the time. Even move the qualifications or what they're looking for, allegedly, they'll move it around just to make sure that whatever we're looking for, it's not you, Leroy. Or they might just, we want someone with a Clemson diploma. Now, how about that? And keep it moving. Let's see. He said he was even hesitant about applying for this position at first. And I can understand that in the system of white supremacy, because so frequently they will lie and deny us even when we are super qualified, valedictorian qualified. They will lie and connive and cronyism and all the rest of it. And my nephew needed a job. My homie from kindergarten needed a job. What? We just don't hire niggers, whatever. Always, I apply. I always think that's better. Might get fortunate sometimes, and they say yes. And even if they don't, hey, opportunity. Practice counter-racism, and even that is the practice of racism, white supremacy. When you have qualified black people and they don't get these positions or what have you, that is the racism right there. But I always think it is better to apply, especially when you know you're qualified. Like, gee whiz, they got all these lame white people that can barely read and they get to apply and everything. We should at least apply. And kudos to his sister for being there for support. Bravo. Black self-respect, I might say. He had told us also he was going to get his CDL, bolster his credentials so that he is even more informed in terms of how the traffic planning for cities and how that operates, so he can be more skilled at his job. Phenomenal. That might even count. They point to that sort of thing on the resume next time around. See that? CDL license. Let's see. He said that they called this mass meeting and bring everyone together. He said, dang, are we federal employees? We about to get laid off? Like, what's going on? They said, get everybody together and say, black female planning director, out of here. Meeting adjourned. Like, dang, they didn't explain what happened. Like, what? Just Lakeisha, out of here. Have a good day. Dang. Like, whoa. He said she still had like personal belongings or what have you. If anything, who knows? Maybe he'll find out at some point what happened. But that's just, man, that sort of thing is always frightening, because it seems like it could be you. Who's next? Like, what happened? Did she violate policy or procedure? It's a grudge. You got to give your nephew a job. Like, what is going on? Any of us, you could be fired next 5 minutes. You did something incorrect. You did everything perfectly. It doesn't matter. System of white supremacy, racism, you could be fired next 5 seconds. That is very important. Make sure you share it with your offspring, because it's true. Fuller talked about that, and just that's the dynamics of being on the plantation. And to that end, he said she still had personal affects and such there. I talked about that before. That is part of the reason we are not stockpiling all of our goodies and pics and souvenirs from the last vacation that we went on, and favorite artwork and memorabilia from our college days, and none of that. The only thing we have in our office or workspace, things that we need to complete our job. And really, it should be company property. If they want you to do the job, they should supply you with the phone, computer, stapler, whatever that you need to get the job done. So really, if I do get fired in the next 5 seconds, maybe I have my jacket, my briefcase, but it shouldn't be. I need, an hour, and I got to get a hammer and get these nails. Like, no. This is their office, their desk. If it's any decorations, plants, anything, it's all their property. All I have to do is get up, get my coat, bag, deuces. Summertime, I don't even have a coat to grab. Deuces. You've been using it like it's their computer the whole time, so I don't have all my personal PDFs and things that I've downloaded and all the XXX websites that I went to. None of that. This is not my computer, so only websites I've been to are work related. I don't even read the newspaper here. Online, I'm talking about. But that is, like, I've seen those type of situations before, and that can be very unsettling just because you don't know. And, the shock, nobody, wants to see folks getting fired if you've worked together for a long time. And, whoa, what's up with that? And all that. And you don't even know what happened. Like, was this a justified firing? Did she do something? Or, wow. Anyway, stay codified. I guess perhaps they'll explain down the road. At minimum, maybe the gossip, as they say, will pass along what people suspect might have happened and all the rest of it. But wishing her the best. Don't like seeing non-white people get fired, especially out of the blue, and you don't know what's going on or what have you. Hopefully the best. We'll see what happens. Let's see. I guess the last thing, bravo to Mama C and non-Clemson dad and getting 00 Dimples out swim lessons early. Talked about that before. And over the last few years since COVID, I think growing number of black children that have been dying because of drownings and how that is a real safety risk. And to get your child into, they did it quickly. Get that child in swim lessons before they even get to kindergarten or anything of the sort. Bravo. But he says they go in, do the swim lessons, and changing out afterwards, get all that chlorine out. We go on, do other constructive things, go learn 50 other languages or whatever. He says the white fella came and was like, oh man, beautiful, daughter and beautiful hair, and that's great. Out swimming, that's A pluses for you all. He says, man, non-Clemson dads, man, I don't know. I'm a black dude, privileged. If there'd have been a white guy, he had his white daughter over there, and I'm like, wow, sir, that's lovely little girl. Wow, that's great. You're all out swimming and everything. That's good job, sir. Lynch him. Now, come on, see there, hyperbole. You ought to be shamed, non-Clemson. This is 2025. Chop off nobody's penis just because a black person says that white man has his child out at swim lessons. Come on now. They will shoot the church up in South Carolina. Pete said that. That's right. They will shoot a church up on Sunday morning or Wednesday evening in South Carolina. But I think a black dude can say that's cute little girl, right on, white man. Job. Now, if that had been a white mom, you'd have been lynched. Sure enough, you'd have been lynched. But a white man, I think you can compliment a white man and not be lynched in 2025, don't you? I think so. I'm gonna try it. And if I don't get back, we'll know non-Clemson dad, valedictorian, we'll know he was right. Much obliged, dear sir. Number to dial, 605-313-5164. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. The email untiljustice@gmail.com. Man, that's so important though. Like non-Clemson dad, all intelligent, all that schooling and experience, and about to have his CDL, all that he's accomplished and such, and he was afraid to apply. That right there, I told you that the whole system of white supremacy, particularly in the workplace, I would extend this to the classroom as well, but so much of it is designed deliberately to undermine our black self-respect and confidence so that we do not feel like we're going to accomplish or be successful at constructive tasks. If it's, selling some crack cocaine or starting a conflict with some other black people, like, oh yeah, we can do that. But constructive things. And I've heard this from other black people, other non-white people, scratch. I've heard this from other non-white people, experienced it myself, where just trying to do something constructive, you already think, man, white people aren't even going to let me do this anyway. What's the point? At least try, if it's something constructive, at least make your best effort. That right there drives up the cost of business, where white people, you're going to have to get out here and practice racism a lot to stop large numbers of non-white people from doing constructive things. That is the way this should look. More and more non-white people determined to do constructive things, and you're going to have to directly oppose them. I think that would stress the system of white supremacy racism. I could be in error, but keep moving in the direction of doing constructive things. More and more constructive things. Let's see. Make sure I did not miss emails. untiljustice@gmail.com. Now, we'll be here on Friday, Catherine Massey Book Club, normal time, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. And then Saturday, normal time, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, for the compensatory call-in, catch up on news and what have you from the past few days. I think the clocks are going forward this weekend, so be mindful about that. They have a number of studies, unless I've been misinformed or white people have lied, that suggest that there's an increase in accidents because people are very sensitive about sleep. You can put Gus T at the top of the list on that one, but because people are so sensitive to sleep deprivation, especially, that when they move the clocks forward each spring, there is an increase in traffic accidents. This even carries over. They move the clocks ahead Saturday night, Sunday morning, that this even carries over until Monday because people are so sensitive about that hour of lost sleep. So maybe you want to be preemptive, maybe get extra rest starting Saturday, maybe even Friday if you can. Maybe you can go, as opposed to going out and cutting a fool Friday night, maybe you can stay in, go to bed early so you can get a little bit of extra rest when you wake up Saturday morning. And then, this is what I'm going to try and do, go to bed a little bit earlier Saturday night and then sleep a little bit later Sunday morning to try to offset that missing hour of sleep. But they have a number of studies about this. They've had it on NPR that people are very sensitive to lost sleep, and you have a lot of people who are sleep deprived anyway. So this hour of sleep that a lot of us are about to miss on Sunday can have big implications. So try to get a little extra rest, go to bed a little bit earlier Saturday night, and then maybe if you can sleep a little bit later Sunday morning. Go to bed a little bit earlier Monday night too, because I said it even carries over for Monday. So go to bed a little bit earlier Sunday night this weekend as well, so you can be a little bit perkier, safer as we spring forward. Let's see. Book club tomorrow, compensatory call-in. And we missed our program yesterday because our suspected racist guest in South Africa, we were supposed to be on way early because there's a 10-hour time difference in between South Africa and me here on the West Coast in the U.S. And he was just so flippant about it. We had, set, I was going to do time check and all that good stuff at like 30 minutes before we went live. Did my time difference, used the calculator and all that good technology, so I had the time differential correctly and bang, ready to go and all that. And he said on his end that the app wasn't working, all that, tried to back up and, other technology, they have so much technology available, say, oh, well, if that's not working, we can connect a different method. And he was just so flippant about it, like, dang, we had planned for this time to be chatting and you're having difficulties with your app and you're not even willing to take time to, troubleshoot and figure out an alternate method to connect? Like, come on, man. Come on. Anyway, look to compensate moving forward and get some different white people to chat up about what's happening in South Africa. President Trump's overtures to the white folks out there, even though we've had a lot of white people from South, really because we've talked to so many white and non-white people in South Africa, be good to touch base over there about what's happening with that. Again, we'll compensate as we move forward. Let's see. Other folks who dialed in, our caller at the courthouse in Florida should be with us as well. If you have commentary to share, proceed.
Yes, sir. May I be heard?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Greetings to Gus, the host, the listeners and callers. Gus, I was speaking with one of the coworkers about the passport applications, and we were sent an email that we had to, I guess, dispose of or get rid of the applications that had that X gender selection, I guess. I think that's what it's called, to have where people can choose X instead of male or female. But the customers that can come in, they can still bring in the application where if they want to select that they aren't neither of the two genders, M or F, male or female, they let us know that we still can accept the applications, but it's going to have a delay. They keep using the word delay, I guess, for us to let these particular customers know. And that still is a thing where even other coworkers have mentioned about whether they say ma'am or sir, and they may suspect that someone is getting that name change, and it's like a mother will come in and this person that I guess is 18 or maybe under 18, I guess, and this adult is coming with them, and the young person is dressed like the opposite gender. I'll just say it like that. And most of the time, and I think I've mentioned this before, these tend to be strictly white customers that are coming in to get these judgments. And my next report I like to share is the white woman who has been upset with the two other black females, because there's only 4 of us in the segregated area. I don't know if I mentioned where there was the female who's supposed to be the lead worker, the term they use, lead worker, and she was trying to ask this white woman something, and she just didn't respond to her. Like, she called her name 3 times, and this white chick didn't, she didn't even say anything. So for a good, 2 weeks, she just wasn't really talking to them. If she needed to get up and go to a lunch break, she barely would even say anything. Or she may just mention to me that she's just going on a break or something, and then the black females would say they're going on their break, but they wouldn't talk to each other. And I still do think that this white woman has some kind of intention to, I guess, do some kind of a harm, I guess, to one of the, both of them, in my opinion. in some way. I just suspect that with the gossiping that she does with the other white women, and with her being classified as a white person, I think she and just like what's mentioned, white people are not ignorant, because if one of the two black females will take a day off or whatever, she'll be on that other side. I seen her coming out of one of those rooms over there with her arms crossed, talking to another white female clique member. And I just, was skeptical, thinking that she's talking about one of the black females. And to end with her, one of the black females took 2 days off, and she came back sounding nasally or whatever, like she wasn't feeling well. And this white woman, she was coughing, I guess, trying to come off saying that she caught something that was contagious from the black person or whatever. And she's doing a lot of this coughing and coughing at times. I just suspect that it's, I don't know, I guess I'll say it's excessive more so than fake. It could be fake coughing too, knowing that white people can be deceptive. I'll just say it's both. But she's just coughing a lot to agitate and to aggravate us over there, And the other black guy, he said something like, "Why are you doing all that coughing? What's with all this coughing?" And she goes, "Oh, well, that's what happens when coworkers come to work sick." And he just walked out of the door. And, I just think she does stuff like that to practice racism. And I just noticed that they kind of just started talking with each other again. But I don't think she really is having that intention to really, I guess, speak with them in the way that she was prior to this feud happening between them. So I guess it's kind of ongoing up to this point. I just observe and take notes, and I want to share two other observations. There was a white kid. Well, I think he might be just turning 18, and he was with his white dad, and he wanted copies of some juvenile records. So this guy, he was charged one time with bringing alcohol to school or liquor or something. And he said, they're just saying this, like him and his white dad was saying that he was 13 or 12 and he was caught with liquor in a jar or something like that. And the dad was trying to, downplay it, minimize it, like he wasn't doing anything wrong, whatever. Like they just like to over exaggerate. It wasn't no big deal. That's the kind of language he was using. And the other case that the white guy had, the white young adult, he, I guess, made a bomb threat or something. So he made this comment talking about, I don't know why they did this. I was just trying to have some fun. And they charged me with what they charged Bin Laden with. So I'm like, man, I feel like that was practicing racism, I guess. Bin Laden, somebody that I guess is classified as non-white, I guess. Terms like terrorists and things like that. And my last one I like to share, Gus, is I was taking a photo of a young non-white teenager, And the mother was a white woman. So so I'm like, okay, white mom, non-white father. So it was the two children there, and the oldest was a young non-white female. So I took the first photograph, and she wasn't satisfied with the picture. So I was like, okay, you can just sit back down on the stool and we can take another picture, no problem. So she looked into the mirror, and her mom instructed her to let her hair down, because I guess she had her hair up in some kind of hairstyle or whatever. So after she was done looking in the mirror, she let her hair down, and as she was sitting on the stool, she says, I don't know if I'm going to like this. My hair looks ratchety. She said ratchety. Now, I never heard a term like that. I heard a ratchet. But she said ratchety, and she's at least like 10 years old. And the white mom, didn't even say anything. So I just took the photo, and it came out just fine, and she went up to the front counter, and that was that. But I wanted to speak on that and share that with everyone, that these things have occurred in the last couple of days. And that's all I have to share. Thanks for allowing me to speak.
Much obliged, caller in Florida. Ratchety. I'm familiar with ratchet. And there are attempted counter-racists who have advanced. We should not use the word ratchet. It is, unless you're talking about the actual tool of ratchet, but in terms of describing someone as ratchet or anything of that nature, that should not be used. That is active racism, where that term has kind of been used in a pejorative way to describe black people. Ratchetee, I've not heard before. Man, not ignorant about white supremacy, racism. The passport delays. Now that's interesting, because they could have just said, hey, everybody's passports will be delayed because they get those from the Department of State, and that is federal agency. We got the layoffs and everything and striving for efficiency, so we don't have enough employees to get the passports done in a timely manner, so everybody's going to have to wait. That's not what they said. They said, we're going to tell the folks, now, we already shredded the forms, so all we got is male and female, which that's what Fuller say. So you mess around and you stole or you've hidden the old forms, and you want to put that X on there, you want to pick something other than male and female, that's going to cost you time and energy. It's going to cost you. That's going to cost you. I would have been curious, not for spite, but just why? What's the big deal? Y'all been processing, this is a government form up until a few days ago. This is official government form. Why is there going to be a delay if you got a white person that says, well, I don't feel particularly male or female. I'm a X. Going to take about 5 months now for you to get passport. It could have took 2 months, but you done messed around. Now it's going to take, be lucky, it might be 2026 before you get it here. Why? Like, what's going on in that time period? Like, it takes, oh man, that's an extra month of processing to get that passport book, to get X on there. You want to mess around and do that. Like, come on. White people are vindictive. See, I would just be curious, like, what is it exactly? Like, what, if you check male or female, like, it doesn't take longer to process one of those. So why does it take longer if you mark X? Might get fired for asking that question. So, I think let's see. He said the Female, she's supposed to be the lead worker. That's the title that they use. Female came in there to ask a question. Hey, what's going on? Totally ignores her. I never advocate that sort of behavior. Never, never, never. This is supposed to be the lead worker. Like, sound like you're supposed to have a position of authority? Come on. You're ignoring people? Like, come on. I can see that she's making racist jokes or something like that, but I mean, if she's professional, your coworker, she's just asking a question, what's going on? The only time I say do something like that, if they're calling you a nickname, they're calling you something that is not your name, trying to be funny or whatever the case may be, that's the only time that I suggest flagrantly ignore. You don't have to respond at all. Unless you want to tell them, I've already let you know, my name is Johnny Ayahuasca, and you continue to call me Leroy. If you keep calling me Leroy, I'm not going to respond. I don't even think that's necessary, because most people, if they know my name is Johnny Ayahuasca, why are you calling me Leroy? That's not even close. Like, come on. But if she's just willfully ignoring people, like, come on. Do your job, man. Be a professional. She says that the white woman is just going around and ignoring her, and then they got all this gossip, what have you. When one of the black females is not there, the white woman, she'll run back, go over to the white area. That's another reason why I say in the workplace, there's nothing to talk about except the job. I would expect these white women, and even if it's non-white people, I would expect that they're going to go back and gossip. That's in the 10 stops for a reason. It's so widespread. But I would expect that they're going to go back and gossip and talk, tell, everything about me, maybe even add in a few lies, everything about all the niggers. There's nothing to say except what he's been talking about on the job. That's it. That's it. I'm not talking about my children. What I said, you're going to give me the get to know me, talk about tires I got on my car. That's what we got. Tires out the car, his aspirations for a promotion. He's really thinking about that raise. When is my performance review? That's all he talked about. New information for the passport. He was seeming like he was curious as to why the delay for the passport. But other than that, that's it. Workplace. That's going to be the gossip. Work, 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 work. Let's see. He said the black female was, we think, sick. Sound like she might have been congested or whatever the case. Health, healing to you. She took a couple days off. She comes back in. She still sounds a little bit congested. He said the white woman, oh God, I can't even breathe. He said, black fella comes in. Question lane. I love it. He can come in accusing her, and I think you faking it. Stop all that gold braid. What do you need to make it out? He didn't do all that. He did. Why are you coughing so much? Well, you know that nigger woman. She was out. This is what happened. People stay home or come in and they've been sick. They pass all their nigger germs around. See, we got another nigger contagion in the workplace. Ain't it non-Clemson dad? Maybe that's one of his relatives. Slink down there to Florida. South Carolina ain't that far from Florida, see? Slink down there and go in the office and get all the white people sick and such. It does not get any better than tacky. Now, for real, if you're really this sick, you got to do all, I can't breathe. Why didn't you stay home? It's seeming like that's what you're upset about. This nigger woman came to work and got all of us sick, passed her nigger germs around. Why didn't you stay home? You could have got yourself right, came back when you're ready to roll. Come on. And I have seen that. That's so tacky in this environment. We're not even really out of the Rona. They say that's still a problem, right? Still an issue. People still wearing masks and, all the rest of it. I'm going to come in and pretend I'm sick and do my old fake coughing That's what I was thinking before he even said that. Like, man, come on. To blame on a black person? Come on. He didn't even say now, called in Florida, he could have been sneaky. You know, you got to watch most shiftless, privileged black males. He didn't tell us that the black female who took the 2 days off, he didn't say that she was coughing, sneezing, none of that. He said she sounded a little congested. Now, maybe he, left that. Maybe she was going around it, sneezing and all that. Maybe. He didn't tell us that. Why is the white woman, you're doing all this coughing? Is the black female, why are you coughing and she's not coughing? But you got it from her. Come on. And why didn't you stay home? Is this one of them like 24-minute Negro viruses? She infected you this morning and it was rapid acting and you already, at death's doorstep metaphor? Come on, man. Come on. And I was going to say, but when I was confused, I probably wouldn't have thought that, and I'd have been mad too. Like, man, nigga woman came here, got us sick, got this poor white woman sick, man. I'd have probably been thinking that. Maybe not, because apparently the black male who came up in question, he wasn't there. It sounded like he was thinking the same thing I was, like, this white, okay, but she is up here lying. If you know you are not even sick, shut up, man. Up here making noise for no reason, and then to blame on a black person who is sick. Like, I believe my black sister over here who took 2 days off and still sound, I believe, authentically sick. And it's not even compassion and, oh man, hope you're okay. Take care of yourself. Get some peppermint tea. Nah. Ew, get your nigger cooties away from me. Ew, you got me sick. Ew. That's not, I told you, that's non-Clemson.
Can I add something?
Yes, sir.
Oh, sorry about that. You just mentioned the word cootie. She actually said that because it happened again. A white customer was like, "Oh, hey girl, are you doing all right over there?" And she said, "Oh yeah, that's what happens when people." She said people bring their cooties to work, and it's another one now. But like prior to this same white woman, she was sitting there, and the black lead worker was trying to get her attention, and she said her name 3 times. And she did not respond to her. So I'm thinking she definitely doing this to practice racism after these couple of days, 2 weeks, where she just wasn't coming in saying morning or anything. And just to add more context, this the same white woman that did not respond to the black female, and she's saying that, or implying that she caught, I guess, a cold or whatever from the other black female that's in the room with us over there. So I'm like, I'm glad that the black guy said, "Hey, like, why are you doing all of this coughing?" And then that was the first time, and then just yesterday, she said this again about catching cooties from a black person. She said people bring their cooties to work. So I'm just thinking that she's just doing these things or saying these things to be racist toward the 2 black females that she wasn't speaking to about 2 weeks ago. Now they're kind of speaking to each other a little bit, I guess, but she's still behaving this way, the white person.
Minimize contact, man. Even there, minimizing contact didn't minimize the conflict, because she just blame these niggers for, passing contagions around the office. And that's one thing, like, man, that is so, it does not get any better than tacky, trashy, and terroristic. You go from not speaking to them to, and how, like, are we in kindergarten? Like, real talk. Like, are we in kindergarten? Like, how many people are not speaking? Oh, I'm not speaking to her this week. Oh, no, I'm not speaking to Ted this week. What is going? We are at work, children, boys and girls. Like, these are not your friends. These are not your homies. You don't have to sit with them in the cafeteria and swap chocolate milk. We are just here to work. That's it. That's it. Don't press the panic button. Stop that coughing. Shut up. Don't bring no soap in here. I don't care if you made it from home. We're just here to work. That's all we're doing. Process the passport applications, man. We can't even just do that, man. No. We got to get into all these extracurriculars, and I'm not talking. I'm not talking. I just want to know what happened to the photocopy. You better ask Ted. I'm not. What in the world, man? I never say the response should be start ignoring people in the workplace. I never say that. I say be a professional. I say speak to everyone. That's what I've said. I have been so appalled over how we had Neutralizing Workplace Racism as a separate program since 2016. The entire time. There's never been a point where I've taken a different position. If you ask for a job, which you do, you fill out an application, me too. You speak. Why would you ask for a job and then I'm not going to talk to anybody here? Why would you do that? Be a professional. That's what I say. Even if they're practicing racism, they mistreat you, whatever the case may be a professional. Speak to everybody. Morning, Helen. By name, too. I say that. Morning, Helen. Morning, Todd. Black people, non-white people, whatever. White people. You speak. It sounds like you got, I'm ignoring multiple people in groups. And like, come on. And this is at the courthouse. Like I said, maybe if this was McDonald's, because sometimes they do have the kindergartners at McDonald's, so at McDonald's. So, I can kind of give them a little more leeway. But dang, at the courthouse, like, I don't think they got no high schoolers working at the courthouse. He didn't tell us about that. I don't think they even have no college interns. They got old people. He's been telling us about people that's been working there for 30 years. People in their 40s, 50s, 60s. They close to retirement age. And you're ignoring people? What? Come on, man. And this sort of conduct is widespread in the workplace. What do you call them? The clique. What do you see? He said, I got to sling my orange juice in your face. If we do talk, you better be glad I'm ignoring you. Come on, man. Like, if anything, that is the reason right there. We're not going to talk about anything except the work. That's it. That way, hopefully, you won't feel a need to ignore it. It won't even get to that point, hopefully, because we just talking about the job. Like, why are we going to get into fisticuffs, and now we can't even speak to each other just talking about the photocopy machine? Why would that be? Just keeping on the job, man. Anyway, and now that's another one. Now, imagine that was him. His mom, she works at the courthouse, too. Imagine that was either one of them. They in a position of authority, so-called team lead, and they're just going to ignore white people. White people coming around and asking them, hey, do you know where, hello? Hello? Hey, hello? Hello? Come on. Be a professional, man. He said the white fella came in and was trying to get their, I guess, juvenile records and such from when they were a hoodlum as a teenager or whatever the case may be some years back. And they said that they were complaining and saying that all these charges had been exaggerated against them when they were young and white and just having a good time. Said that that they were exaggerated. Said they made a bomb threat. And they were just having a little fun, wasn't a big deal. Said they had some moonshine, corn liquor, whatever it was, wine coolers. They make up things. They lie. Don't they exaggerate? See? Minimize, obfuscate, and omit. Moo. I say they do that all the time. They're going to come in and give us a whole list. I say, I didn't have no keg. 15 kegs. I had a couple wine coolers and they underage drinking. They lie. Say I made a bomb threat at the school. I was just having a little fun. Now, he didn't say, no, I didn't make no bomb threat. He said, I just having a little fun. Columbine. Matter of fact, if he said he was doing this back when he was a child or whatever, this is before they even called all that swatting. I'm just having a little fun, Youthful indiscretion, tomfoolery. That's another one now. Imagine, let's fast forward this like 20 years now. Imagine non-Clemson dad, Mama C, up at the South Carolina courthouse, and, we're gonna try and expunge these records because, Double O Dimple seems like she got in the anarchist cookbook around the time she was 13 and, got excited and made a few bomb threats at the school, made a few bombs even. Young and silly. Anyway, we're going to get these records expunged. What? What? She'd have been in all kinds of juvenile court and everything else. Like, dude, what? Imagine if that had been Leroy. Make bomb threats at the school? At the school? How much liquor did you have? Let's judge. How many kegs was it? Let's see. And how many times, now, white people in that liquor thing, how many times did you get caught? Because for a white person, even a white child, for them to get like charges for alcohol, oh man, it has to be serious because that's so ubiquitous in terms of underage white drinking. Like somebody had to die, vehicle accident, multiple times, alcohol poisoning, keg party where this disrupted the whole neighborhood. Like it could not have just been you had like one bottle of Mad Dog 2020 and you're white and 14 and you got charged. Like no. Like nah. That's where you would have. Let's see what the record is. Let's see what the record is that you're getting off. Let's see what age and then what was it and then how many times if it was alcohol. Was it just alcohol? Was other narcotics involved? Was it ayahuasca? Like come on. Don't even start with that. I didn't even do nothing, Brother Gus. They just lean hard on old white man and say, come on. We've heard this a few times where he said white people came up there and were caping for their no count white children or themselves. I'm getting my record. I think he said it was a white enforcement officer who came up there before and they had like some no count child who had done this and done that. And, well, my dad worked in law enforcement. We stole a car, but am I making that up? Did that happen where somebody was affiliated with law enforcement and they were coming up? It was a white person and they came up to get their juvenile records cleared. Their family being in law enforcement had helped them get this cleaned up.
Yes, sir. I do remember sharing that, and the white person was saying, "Oh yeah, my dad, he was the lieutenant or something like that, and he helped me get off." And it sounded like it was a white person just, I guess, bragging and I guess what they call flexing and things like that, saying I got these white connections.
Criming while white. I remember that was a hashtag they had some few years back on Elon Musk's platform. But any hoodles, I mean, now how many of you all out there got, can say the same? I got, my cousin, my auntie, she works down at the prosecutor's office. She helped me get them parking tickets, them speeding tickets. I had about 15 of them. She helped me get all those cleared off my record, man. I was about to lose my license, man. It was looking right tough there, but auntie came in tough or you got somebody, cousin, nephew, brother-in-law, work in law enforcement, something like that. Like you get pulled over later. Whoa, man. Now, my cousin Dante, now he worked down at the precinct. Now, wait a minute. They get on the road. Oh, that's right, Dante. Dante is cool. Go ahead, black brother. You good. Just be careful now. Come on. And for bomb stuff like that, serious. Matter of fact, skip we got enough Columbines. They shoot up the school every day. The alcohol, I would just want what's the charges? You got the hookup. We already know. So before we get them expunged, what did you do? They might even tell you, keep it real. What did you do? I would look as if, like I said, with a white person and alcohol, you heard that non-Clemson dad in them in South Carolina, their neighbors, Alec Murdoch, all of that was white children drinking, 14. They weren't even at the cusp of, being, hey, I'm almost 18. Nah, they in high school, man, freshmen, sophomores in high school. It sounded like they had extensive drinking history. Hard liquor, corn liquor, Mad Dog 20 and 20. That's what I'm saying. That's so ubiquitous. No, you do not have a record just because you got caught with a flask of Jack Daniels at 15. What were the charges? What did you do? Racist alcoholic. Come on. Anywho, Columbine. What to say? Columbine. Bomb threat. They've been doing that for the longest. Got nothing to do. We call the school to make it. Which school did you make a bomb threat at? Just saying. Did you pick a school that had a whole lot of non-white people to make a bomb threat? Or you picked your school? You just picked a random school in Florida? Or was it even in Florida? Maybe you picked, someplace else. Just curious. Any hoodles. Much obliged, our caller in Florida. Man, white people don't have none. That's what they have to do with their time and energy right there. You see a snapshot. Bomb threats, narcotics, race. And then what is your life now, sir? Let's see. Victim in New Jersey should be with us. We have commentary for this week's Neutralizing Workplace Racism. Victim in New Jersey.
Hey, Gus, how you doing? Also, I emailed you the article, so I just wanted to get the host and other listeners based on two reports from my workplace. I got in kind of late, so I really didn't get a chance to listen to the clips. My sleep schedule has kind of changed, so I'm definitely going to try to call in, more for workplace racism and the book read. But so I'll start with fired employees. So black male, it was brought to my attention that a black male at the job was fired, and I think the conversation, we were having a conversation, jokingly, but since this black male has been fired, it's been brought to my attention by another coworker that this particular black male has just been sitting in the parking lot. From what the employee told me, I don't know if it's an exaggeration, but for a few days now, maybe even 3 or 4 days, he's just been sitting in the parking lot. So I'm just kind of wondering, okay, if he's fired, why is he just sitting, in the parking lot? And this particular employee, he's quit and came back before, so a lot of times he's been disgruntled. He's, from my understanding, all the times just, went into the office and, expressed his how he didn't want to, do a particular stop, and handed in his equipment, quit, and then he came back. So I don't know what happened this time, but this time, they fired him. So so maybe maybe in his mind he's thinking like he's kind of used to this behavior where he goes off on management and management, and he's able to just come back, so I just really don't know this guy's mental state. So jokingly, I'm like, okay, I said, I asked the other black male, I'm like, what you gonna do? Like, I mean, you gonna say something to, the supervisors about him just camping out in the parking lot? So, he said, no, I ain't saying nothing. Jokingly, he says, listen, he ain't gonna shoot me. I said, because the only thing they're gonna do is give my route out the next day. Jokingly, funny, but true. I mean, if something was to happen to you, the show must go on. With the way that company operates, I think it could be a mass shooting, and they'll still be trying to operate like ain't nothing happened while the yellow tape is surrounding the building. So because that they pump out a lot of product for different customers. They have contracts with the city, with New York City schools, and a lot of they do a lot of business. They even building another warehouse from the ground up down in South Jersey, where this company is located, North Jersey. My company also, I didn't know during the pandemic they even fleeced. They even got over on New York City by overcharging them by millions of dollars. So surprisingly, they still doing business with New York City. So I'm assuming the company is paying New York City back. But just to give you an idea of, this company does a lot of business. I'm saying? They have a lot of contracts. But however, so if something was to happen up there, it would be business as usual. But it is still disturbing that you have a fired former employee just sitting in the parking lot. So I want to know, like, what is the code for that? Should you just, mind your business, okay, you're in a parking lot, even approach him. If somebody even know him, hey man, what's going on? Talk to him maybe, or just report this to management, so I would like people's advice on that. Second report, another concerning situation. And I sent you the email of this particular female, non-white, Hispanic. She worked in HR. She works in HR in the afternoon, and she works in the morning. When we get our paperwork, she gives us our route assignment. This particular female was arrested for her and a relative, family member, and another female, a male relative and a female, for impersonating a police officer and bells bombing. So they were allegedly pretending to be police officers and bell bondsmen, and if people didn't make court dates or they didn't attend jury duty, they were basically harassing people, pretending to be law enforcement, and they basically got over $100,000 out of said victims. threatening them with jail time if they didn't hand over large sum of cash. Now, this wouldn't even be a concern, you know what I mean, with this particular employee who I have a good relationship with, but this wouldn't be a concern. My only concern is if this woman is doing fraud on this high scale, and from my understanding, she also was on some kind of probation because she also was involved in the PPP loans, and she was also in trouble for that, which, you know, none of my business, but didn't know. You know, but she has, even though that she works in HR, she has information of all of the employees, you know what I mean, Social Security numbers, addresses, etc. So, you know, so this is alarming that this particular female had access to all that information, and she was involved with what they're saying she was involved with. She was arrested last, you know, Thursday. Now, I'm not saying that the company should do a public announcement, but maybe just an email or something letting everybody know that, you know, I know you guys have heard of what happened with said employee that worked in HR. We're reassuring that all of you guys' information is secure. You know, I mean, I think that would have been appropriate, but, you know, a lot of people already know what happened, and I guess we just kind of have to walk around and pretend like it didn't, you know what I mean? So, you know, I mean, I don't know if we should bring this up to the, because I don't know if everybody else has this concern, but me and two other coworkers, we were talking, and that is something that was of a concern to us. You know, so I'm thinking maybe we can talk to the shop steward and have him just, you know, talk to management and say, hey, listen, you know, this is a concern. You know what I mean? What are you guys doing about that? You know what I'm saying? How much information does she have access to? You know, and maybe you guys should maybe send out a blast, text, because they normally communicate us through text messages to reassure that, you know, the security of our social securities and addresses are secure. Again, innocent to proven guilty. Don't know if this particular female was involved. I mean, you know, maybe it was just her family members. Maybe these allegations are true. Maybe they're false, but that is concern. I was listening, and as far as speaking to people when on a job, I definitely believe that makes the job, it makes for a better work environment. But, you know, however, some people are not morning people. Some people aren't as friendly. I recall an incident when I was making a delivery, and this particular lady, that customer, you know, I spoke, hey, good morning, and, you know, she pulls me to the side and says, oh, why are you always so happy? Like, why are you so happy in the morning? You know, what's going on? Tell me the secret. I said, no, it's just me being professional and courteous, man. You know, trust me, I am not, I am very, how can I say, a curmudgeon. I'm very grumpy naturally. So this is just me performing. I'm thinking this, but I told her I'm just being courteous. So, you know, I'm doing the job, I'm providing the service, and I'm being courteous. Because I've also seen instances where customers have complained about other drivers that didn't enter the establishment and say good morning. You know, they just basically, you know, performed their job, didn't say anything. You know, I mean, wasn't rude, but didn't speak. So I made it my business to be courteous. And that has gotten me, how can I say, that has created a better atmosphere for me with dealing with customers. So I disarm even some of the most disgruntled customers are disarmed with my attitude. Not doing too much. I'm not, hey, hey, Mr. Charlie, how you doing? How the kids? I'm not doing all that. It's just, hey, how you doing? Good morning. What do you need me to place the product? What do you want the pallet? All right, man, have a good one. And it just makes the experience that much more easy and less stressful. You know what I mean? Because I kind of used to be disgruntled, because I'm just like, you're in the morning, you're tired, you're driving a straight truck, you're driving a tractor trailer, and, but it's kind of like been like a stress reliever for me. You know what I mean? Just going in to different establishments. Hey, good morning, and it's really more for me than for the customer. But yeah. So I'll close with that, Gus, and get you guys' opinion on the first two situations that I brought up. Thank you.
Much obliged, victim in New Jersey. That was an important point that he ended with there, where he talked about really have his code in the workplace for being courteous, which, again, that's second time today. I have advocated that, co-sign on that strongly, encouraged that for at least a decade. Do not go on the job to be mute, pull your Dr. Maya Angelou. No, you are here and just being courteous. And he said, it's not so much for the race soldiers that I work with or even other discourteous non-white people per se. It is for me. It is for me. And I found that works consistently. And when you're in a professional environment of any sort, it's not for them. This is just so that I can get through this environment as quickly as possible and minimize the likelihood for trouble. In a workplace environment, I have not seen where just being quiet and mute. I've not seen, retract the quiet part, but not speaking. I'm just going to be mute. I've not seen where that works. You want to minimize the talking. You want to not do a lot of unnecessary talking. So you can be quiet, but you do speak to folks. You talk, you greet people professionally. You always want to be courteous. Morning, Helen. Where do you want this? Have a great day. Courteous and professional. That's not excessive. We're not going in and, what you think about them Lakers? Wow, that Luka is none of that. None of that. None of that. Have a nice day. Use their name. It is for yourself to minimize your own personal stress and hopefully to get through this as painlessly as possible. With the job situation, in terms of the black person sitting in the parking lot, pretty much under most circumstances I would report, just because this is the era of Columbine and disgruntled employees. I would report because you just don't know. There have been black employees, white employees to come back, shoot up the workplace, or become violent, whatever. I would report, and just at minimum, because there's nothing constructive about that, like day after day. Like, even if it was just this is a black person who is distraught. I was really trying to, make some changes in my life and make some constructive improvements in my life, and this has totally derailed things, and I don't know what to do, and I can't even figure out, what my next step is going to be. So I just come and sit out here in the parking lot day after day for weeks on end. Even if that's what it is, that is not constructive. Like, come on, man, let's go get a coffee and plot it out. You know, if you want to come back and see that maybe they'll rehire him again. We went down that. Maybe they'll do that. Do you want to look at something else, like something better than sitting in the parking lot? But I mean, that's like, you know, minimal scenario. It could be a lot of other things, but I would report. Now, if it is someone there has rapport with this person, especially if this person has a reputation for being what they might call a hothead, someone who might be loud, use a little profanity, get into conflict with folks. If someone has a rapport with this individual and they can just go talk, let's go get a coffee. You know, it's got to be a good old Mickey D someplace close. We can go get a coffee. You don't have to get the fatty liver disease. We can just get a coffee, water even. Let's sit and chat. What's going on? Start there. And, you know, how many days do we want to sit out in the parking lot? Like, come on. It's still kind of cold. It's not even spring yet. Like, come on. That is the maximum, since this is a black male. But even then, like, whew, man, because that safety, this is not safe for him. It's not safe for employees. This is the exact sort of thing that I talk about. You have an employee and they're camping out under there. If it was a white person, oh my God, like I might even have to call the police, because technically they're trespassing. If it was a white person, it might be a police call. In fact, if it was a white person and they had a reputation for what I just said, being a hothead, they had done that sort of thing anyway, I would probably have been thinking, we should call the police. This is trespassing. One, they can beat it, not even supposed to be here. And then two, that would, even because of that, I would want a police record, because that might discourage them. Hey, this is no more. You have been terminated. The other fish in the sea. They want the metaphors and all that. There are other jobs. They do not start with you loitering in the parking lot day after day. Beat it. And that way we get a record, so that maybe they can have increased security or whatever. But to get a record that this has already been noted as a problem, you shouldn't be here. And he should know that. You shouldn't, even if you're sulking and, you know, whatever it is, you can do that across the street. You can do that at home on your couch, really. So if this had been anyone other than black male, privileged, we should be calling the police, because he's trespassing, and we want a police report of this conduct in case this escalates. And that way it might even spur HR management to be proactive in all of this, to get security or whatever, at least for a few weeks, until, you know, things die down, maybe a few months until things die down, he gets another job, and we can move on with things peacefully, or they even rehire him, maybe, who knows. But yeah, my 90% of the time, what I just said, that would be the immediate thought process. And like from as soon as I saw this, let's call the police and get a plan together immediately, notify HR and all the rest of it. And I mean, if somebody is going to intervene, that should be sooner than later. If somebody, you know, does have rapport and they just want to go, do you want to get a cup of coffee? Do you want to go sit? And, you know, and I would probably tell him that, like, this is not dangerous. This is dangerous. All it takes is one white woman. Hey, we have had listeners, and this is a privileged black male, so you're about 2 seconds away from being a rapist anyway. We have had listeners who were delivery drivers, similar to victim in New Jersey. They were out on their lunch break, sitting in a vehicle, eating their carrots, broccoli, cauliflower. White man came out. They just sitting in the car, mouthful of raw carrots. White man sprints out to the car. What are you doing? Eating carrots. You're scaring my wife. She says you're a rapist. What are you doing out here with them carrots? Like, what? So, and he wasn't on their property. He wasn't in their driveway. He didn't have a machete. He wasn't half naked. He was eating carrots. This is a black dude that has been fired with a reputation like Gus T, and you're trespassing. You're trespassing. Like, man, I'm surprised this was allowed to go this long. So if there's going to be an intervention, I would say do it sooner than later. Someone who has a rapport, cautiously, because, people get fired, they can, and it's probably going to be a lot of this with the layoffs and everything else. I think non-Clemson dad, had said when he went in, where they did fire the black female, it seemed surprisingly, no notice, no nothing. She still got belongings there and everything, that people were kind of wondering, like, oh my God, it's going to be a mass layoff? Are we all fired? Oh my goodness. And, you just let that one nigga woman go. Oh, okay. Back to work. We'll figure that out later. But I mean, because there's so much chaos with all the firings and everything, hey, it could be a lot of this where you have people who are stressed. They've been stressed, thinking that they might get fired and all the rest of it for months on end, or weeks on end. And then it happens or it doesn't happen. And what am I going to do? Now I'm sitting out in the parking lot, don't know what I'm going to do. There could be a lot of this moving forward, and it's probably by design. That's why I said I would not play around at all. I would contact the police, and I would encourage HR to get a security plan together, which would start with contacting the police, trespassing, and then letting them know about his history of misconduct and, active behavior, or however you would phrase it. They know better than I do. Whatever the incidents have been before, where they've stormed off and got upset and volatile activity, I would let them know all of that. I don't know. Do we have any folks who have thoughts on that? I guess we're about to wrap up, but if folks have a thought on, so you got a black person, privileged black male, been fired. They're sitting in the parking lot, and they apparently have been doing this for days, just sitting out in the parking lot. Would you intervene either personally or try to see if there's someone who has a rapport with this fella to encourage them to stop loitering? Or would you just contact the police and get a security plan? Any thoughts before we wrap up?
Have you heard?
Victim times 3. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. It's kind of hard to determine whether to intervene with something like that, considering, I guess, what the caller said that the person be going through. But if there's probably a possibility that you can, I guess maybe like a support basket, maybe something to eat, stuck by his car with a note, maybe a note, something to that effect. Something where it's not as directly getting involved, but still providing maybe some kind of resource, something like that. I wouldn't know off the top, but that's it.
Would you bring him, because it seems like he might be in the vehicle, so you wouldn't be able to do that, he's stepped away for a minute, so you could kind of put the basket and stuff there and then kind of leave. Would you just kind of bring him the basket, maybe a cup of coffee or what have you, with all that in it and with the contact information or whatever and give it to him? Or
yes, so that would be my space, so I wouldn't have to be personally involved. If he did step away, yeah, but if not, I would just leave it by his car. If he does see me walk by with it, kind of, gesture that this is for you. Here, I'm going.
Okay. Kind of a gift basket type of a offering of resources and assistance, with a note maybe in the basket, if someone is going to reach out. Anybody else with any thoughts on how they would handle this black male who has been loitering in the parking lot for a few days after being terminated? Volatile history. Folks can think about it. Just if the person has been volatile before and they've lost a job, for some people that can be enough to kind of get them to a point where they engage in reckless activity. They feel like they have nothing to lose if they've lost their job, and that is connected to so many other things. You don't know if they're armed or what the case is, so I would be very cautious. Maybe even you can approach from your vehicle and just, like I said, maybe you all could go someplace else, get a coffee someplace close by, but hopefully someone with a rapport that they recognize as, oh, okay, this is a friendly face, at least we're on friendly terms, where they might not have a volatile response, where they might be at least willing to listen to what that person has to say for a few minutes. But yeah, if that's not available, the person is trespassing, and you do in a workplace, you do have to think of the safety of everyone, and all it would take is one. I mean, they wouldn't even have to tell management or whatever. Conceivably, any one person who worked there who saw this could call the police and truthfully report there's someone trespassing in the parking lot. They used to work here. They were fired. At this point, they were fired a day ago or a week ago, or whatever the case may be, and they keep coming out and loitering in the parking lot for hours on end, and I don't feel safe. I'm pretty, and it's a rape and blackmail. I'm pretty sure the police would, any state in the union, I think the police would respond, and they would have legal right. Beat it at the minimum. Beat it. We see you here again, it's going to be problems. Beat it. Might even be problems right now because you're trespassing. Beat it. See what you got in the vehicle and all the rest of it. So, and I mean, for real, under those circumstances, it might be, let me see what you got in the vehicle. Pop the trunk. All of that. So, and they would be legally justified because, yeah, you're not supposed to be there. So, if folks have any suggestions on that, what they would do if it's a victim of racism and you want to try and maximize the likelihood that this person can get out of this without being harmed and maybe having no contact with enforcement officers, I would say, hey, act sooner than later if you want to do that, because the longer if it continues, the greater the likelihood that somebody white and or even a non-white person is going to see this, and they're going to report this, and they would be justified too. So, and plus, the longer this goes, the longer from when they were employed. So this is, a week since you've been fired. 2 weeks from when you've been fired is a little different from they were fired yesterday, or none of it's good, but it just the worse, the longer it goes, the worse it goes. So I would intervene sooner rather than later if you want to try and talk to this person and that sort of thing, kind of encourage them to pick some better choices, help them with some resources, because the longer it goes, I could see, and the longer it goes, then that just would further highlight that real problem, person really needs some major assistance, because that is not constructive or healthy at all, just sitting out in the parking lot like that at all. Much obliged. Victim in New Jersey. Let us know how that proceeds. I guess the HR, I forgot about that. The HR component, that is a justified concern given the technology or technological criminology or technological chicanery, I'll say, that is going on right now, and all the cyber crimes and identity theft and stealing people's information. They got all those concerns about President Trump and his cronies getting access to our personal information. Certainly in these, with this sort of situation where you got a former employee in the HR department who is impersonating enforcement officers, wow, that is crazy. Like, wow. People do such a thing. I've heard that a number of times. That sounds like a very legitimate concern that you and yourself have, or you and the other employee have. It might be that a lot of other employees maybe haven't thought about this. Maybe they're just into the scandal of it all and the rumor of it all. But I think that is if this person, and hey, these are allegations, innocent till proven guilty, we got. But at least with the allegations, they certainly warrant major concern. Has there been a data breach? What is the company doing to ensure the safety of all of our private information? Those, I think, are very valid questions. And even if they don't, come, I also think it would have been reasonable to just make a statement, this did happen, innocent till proven guilty, they no longer work here, and we're doing everything to ensure that the personal data of all our employees is safe. Brilliant. That's great. We feel a lot better. But I would just go and ask the most powerful white person you're able to talk to, and just ask very directly about, data safety, because I think that is a totally legitimate concern, and they should be able to, allay your fears. This is what's being done. We've investigated. This is what's being done in the future to make sure that we can be proactive about this. And you can even hear, does it sound legitimate? If they say that they've investigated to make sure she didn't do anything while she was employed and had access, does that seem reasonable? But yeah, I think it's reason, and hopefully lots of employees have this sort of concern, so they get lots of great questions about this. Do an investigation, thorough, competent. And it might be some embarrassment, because it would be who hired the person who is going around and impersonating police officers? Oh, who else did you hire? Might be that sort of thing. I don't think you exactly want to stick your chest out with pride, whomever was on the hiring committee for that one. But, it happens. Great questions. Let us know how they, I think those are great concerns, legitimate concerns. I would ask questions about that one and see what they're doing to investigate and make certain that no criminal activity with data has taken place. We'll be here for the book club tomorrow, same time, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Catherine Massey Book Club, Dr. Maya Angelou, Mad Dog 2020. No drinking in the workplace. Sobriety would be best. Preserve your brain computer. We will need lots of high-level thinking to solve our problems. Creator, help me maximize my time and energy to replace white supremacy with justice immediately. Help me to stop wasting non-white people's time and energy, including my own. Minimize contact, minimize conflict, stop name-calling black people, stop being discourteous to black people, stop gossiping, stop producing throwaway offspring. C.O.W.S. signing out. Thanks all for tuning in.
Nigga, you so brainwashed. I'm a victim, brother. No problem. You're a victim. Yeah. I'm a victim of 400 years of conditioning. Shut up. The man has programmed my conditioning. Even my conditioning has been conditioned.